100 episodes ago, I honestly didn't know where this would go. A former wrestler with a microphone, stories to tell, and a lot left to figure out. Since then, we've talked about the business, the lies, the injuries, and the victories. Especially the things nobody talks about after the cameras stop rolling. But this show became bigger than wrestling. It became about evolution, finding purpose, and building something real. This is not just a celebration. It is proof that reinvention is possible. Welcome to episode 100 of the Stevie Richards Show. Welcome back to the home studio and welcome to episode 100 of the Stevie Richards Show. Thank you so much. Thank you is going to be the two words, take a drink, like future episode. And now last week, people said the new take a drink is, I'm sorry to interrupt you, James, which I'm hoping I never do again, but I'll probably fall short of that. We are definitely going to thank a lot of people after we go through the intros, but just so you know, every single episode previous to this one and after this one, we are so immensely grateful for each and every one of you for catching these episodes, clips, Patreon, all that stuff. Can't be said enough, and I'm sure I'll say it again. So a new drinking game, every time I thank you during episode 100, take a drink and just leave it on a loop as you pass out blackout drunk. I don't even know the term. I do know the term, co-host, and my co-host for episode 100, and hopefully moving forward, if he feels better, will be James Romero.
My voice is a bit broken, so this will probably be most people's favorite episode ever because I'm going to be doing the least amount of talking. We're going to do, Stevie's going to do, as he said, many thank yous, but I will also thank everybody as well for joining us for 100 episodes, and long may they continue as well. I'll do the quick version of the intro. And I mean it this time. I've got a channel, James Romero. Stevie has it, aside from the fitness channel on YouTube as well, which is closing in on 100,000 subs. He's also working in collaboration with one of the bigger tech channels out there, Chase Brogan, nearly 600,000 subs there as well. Go check Stevie out there in future videos, as well as I think the first one was a No Mercy mod that they reviewed as well. So I encourage you all to go there as well. Stevie Richards also has the Cameo, of course, many 5-star reviews. He's one of the most interacted with, one of the most requested personalities, not just in wrestling, but on the entire platform. And the reason is he gives you far more than your money's worth. Let me tell you that for nothing. Most people will be calling you Barf and saying happy birthday and, etc., etc. We're going to be talking about Flair later. But no, Stevie will go above and beyond for you on those cameos, so catch one while they're still too cheap. And, of course, the Stevie Richards Show, as the Stevie Richards Show Patreon, as well, with the Monday watch-alongs exclusive, as well as the show before the show, show notes, backstage stuff, all that kind of thing. And we watched, just before we started, and that'll be out this coming Monday, is Stevie Richards, or Stephen Richards, versus Rob Conway on the international-only version of Sunday Night Heat, which Stevie hadn't watched since the week after it happened in catering. So he hadn't watched this match in 22 years and still remembered stuff from it. It's ridiculous. Not today, CTE.
Yeah, but earlier when we talked about, we're going to have a segment about legends I've wrestled over my career, CT did kick in quite a bit on that because you're like, hey, you remember wrestling? It was like Tony Gray. Hey, you remember wrestling this guy? How did you win that match?
I said that about the Rob Conway thing as well. So, and with a finisher I've never seen you use.
The S factor. Yeah. By the way, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, I won. I don't remember that part. I remember the stories. We have backstage stories about Vince and why the match actually happened and then other things. And it wouldn't be a Stevie Richards match on Heat without Stevie Richards getting in trouble with the office after said, just teasing the 10 punches got me in enough trouble. All you got to do is think about it. You thinking about 10 punches in the corner? We know you are. You're in trouble. Brother, you got heat now.
You were thinking about 2 or 3 punches. You should have said I was like thinking about two punches.
What if I said I was thinking about 14? Like, what would they even know? Like,
I'll pretend you said 18, lol.
What's that?
I'll pretend you said 18.
Oh, jeez.
You can. It's like saying May 19th. You can never say the word 14 or the number 14 without getting that comment. Okay, before we go into the full show, we've got, this is basically the Legends of Wrestling that Stevie has personally interacted with, wrestled, in some cases defeated as well. Not in some of them, though. I'm trying to think of the ones on the... yeah, actually, there are a few. I know that as well. But before we do, Stevie wanted to, I guess, say, once again, thank you, take a drink, to everybody who's watching. Before you do, though, Stevie, I didn't tell you I was going to do this. From episode 1, I'm going to tell you the subjects we tackled.
Oh, that's a good game. Well, you have another game. Is this the game you told me? Is there another game that I need?
No. This is the main game's coming up. But we talked about Two Cold Scorpios arrest. We talked about the Wyatt Sixers debut, and they've already been fired. We talked about Shane McMahon in AEW, which was a theory going around. Do you remember there was at one point like a photo that someone snuck in and took and ran away?
They were like in a conference room, and some people, it wasn't Sasha Banks, or Sasha Bank, as Fox Football Sunday says, Mercedes Moné. Didn't she take the picture?
Is it her?
I could have sworn in some universe that it was her that took the picture. But it was in a conference room in a high rise, or maybe at Jacksonville Jaguars, headquarters or whatever. But yeah, they seemed like they were having a good time.
The other two subjects, and keep in mind this show went under 2 hours. Did it? Yeah, 1 hour 51. Jacob Fatu's debut, analysed, video footage, the whole bit, and finally remembering Sika Anawai. And those are the subjects of episode 1.
Oh, wow. That's a good mix of, it's funny, 2 years is like an eternity in the professional wrestling world. You said the Wyatt Six debuted. It felt like they were there for 10 years, but because of, it's just a weird way to map out the way time passes in pro wrestling, creatively, especially, because I thought they were, they were all there individually, I guess, longer. Bo Dallas was there well over a decade, if not 15 years, right? He was there for a long time. I think
he joined in like 2011 or something.
Yeah, so...
And he had 4 straight years off. It was like the Lanny Poffo to Bray Wyatt Savage.
That's a great trivia question. The Lanny Poffo WCW contract, and how many times? I think he wrestled once.
Nope. Oh, no, you might be right. I think he wrestled once, and it was like on a dart match on Saturday night.
Yeah, he never wrestled on TV, from what I understand.
Yeah. I remember he told me he dyed his hair for it to be Gorgeous George once. And he said that the dye reacted really badly to his hair and it like started falling out or like getting really brittle.
I do remember it. He's done quite a few interviews, but rest in peace, Lanny Poffo, man. That was sudden and unexpected because he seemed to be very, very healthy. He was 67 years old, correct?
Something like that, yeah. He wasn't 70 at that point.
Very crazy stuff. But yeah, that's a good trivia question. And also, Jacob Fatu debuting 2 years ago has still managed to stay really strong in the inverted put. Well, I'm just saying, we could be getting his vignettes soon, 2 years later, to get to know Jacob Fatu after all this time. But, Solo debuted before that. And, before our show actually hit episode 1, and look at where he's at now. But he had a lot of potential as well. We can get into all these things. Yeah, we're going off.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about Solo. He just got pinned on Raw, by the way, yesterday. Okay, by Obafemi in that 4-way. Yeah, before we get into the main thing then, what do you want to say about, I guess, the show? And this isn't our 2nd anniversary, by the way. That is, in 3 weeks?
Yeah, I have another opening planned for that one. I talked to you guys about the birthday cake and everything. I'm going to try to get that done. But yeah, I mean, it can't be said enough, and hopefully through each and every one of the previous 99 episodes, we've displayed our gratitude to each and every one of you, because there are a lot of wrestling shows, a lot of podcasts, YouTube channels, any kind of content or media out there that you can consume, you can subscribe to, you can, make it a part of your day, your week, whatever it might be. And it just means the world to me. The audience, everybody out there in the audience, the community here at the Stevie Richards Show, just mean the world to both of us with all the feedback and everything. And there's been times when feedback has been great because we needed to improve this, switch this, figure out what segments work, what ones don't. You out there have really driven the format and the content here, and it just can't be said enough. I can name everybody from Nixus, who was one of the original Patreon members way back in the first iteration of the Wrestling Analysis days. There's people that have stuck with me from both iterations of that. The show carried over from or over to the fitness channel, now with the tech stuff. It just means a lot that people just time, energy, and money when it comes to Patreon and all that stuff. You can choose to do all those things and spend those things in many, many places. But the fact you do here each and every week, and we see the comments of, basically, if it's not there at 2 p.m. on a Friday previously, and now Thursday at like 2:02, 2:03, I'm getting messages and emails and people on Patreon and even YouTube comments. I can't put it into words how much this show, how much you, James, Chris, and especially each and every member of the community mean to me. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the people, the legends, the wrestlers that I have gratitude for to bring me to this point of being a co-host of the Stevie Richards Show.
The star.
Co-host.
This co-host thing. There's no one's clicking for me. I'm ruining it, but you won't do it without me. So
yeah, we signed a blood contract.
I can only ruin it. You are the star.
We virtually over Zoom did the thing with the cut your hand and then the blood brother thing. So it's all over, and I got to figure out how to get blood off this Prompter XL now.
Hey, it's a big screen to get a lot of blood off. Right. As I'm still eating this. My throat's so gone. I'm trying to eat sweets constantly to keep it lubricated. Right. Here's the game. It's called Who Did Stevie Richards Ever Beat? Now, remember a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you remember this little guy out there called Kevin Nash, and he's basically, as you've said, we're not going to bring him up again. But
we are going to bring him up. We're going to bring him up on a positive note.
Of course we are.
Yes.
Yeah, we are. Excuse me. And he was like, you know how certain people equate your push to your value as a human in wrestling? You've mentioned this many times before. And then I was thinking, well, who did Stevie Richards ever beat? And I'm sure some people have said that in wrestling as well.
Oh, God. Yeah.
In the pejorative sense. Well, I've got a
Not
list.
even in a comedic sense, like Dutch or anybody would just say, like, as a joke. They were literally asking the question.
Hey, well, guess what? I've got a great big list of big name wrestlers who Stevie Richards has beaten. And here's the game. I'm going to give you the name, and I want you to tell me when and where you beat them. The circumstances, maybe a little story to go along with it as well. I think a few of these we're going to do deeper dives on, so we don't have to do 10 minutes in every name.
And I don't know anything about this. These two games today, I have no previous knowledge, so it might be today CTE, instead of aha.
So, like Islands in the Stream. So Royal Rumbles and Battle Royals don't count. So when you won the ECW King of the Hill Battle Royal, Sabu, RVD, Shane Douglas, Taz, etc., they don't count. The first name on the list, and I know you know this one, Kurt Angle.
Oh, Kurt Angle has fake Dude Love on a dark match and beat him with a Stevie kick, clean. And we went over, and Bruce Pritchard had every right to be upset. I was so early in my WWF career, did not, even though we did it in the ECW to prepare for the ECW invasion of Monday Night Raw, we had to work on what's called hard time. 6 minutes, you got to be in and out, or go a little bit early. I learned a very valuable lesson that night. Even with Bruce's kind of like semi-silent, he just basically said, you want like 3 minutes over? And I was like, and I was very, very aware of that. So I have to thank Bruce Pritchard for, kind of like giving me that side eye, and even just with very little feedback, let me know that I did something that was a complete no-no within the company. And I learned my lesson with that. But Kurt was a lot of fun to wrestle, even more fun in TNA when we wrestled at one time with Raven and myself in a handicap match. But yes, I was the fake dude love dark match versus Kurt Angle. Like I said, they were bringing Kurt Angle along very, very slowly. Dark matches, dark matches. I think even maybe Memphis he might have wrestled once or twice in the Flex Cabana kind of role.
No, with
He
Kurt
never
Angle,
did?
no. Not with Flex Cabana.
No. I mean,
I
just
think that was
generally
post
he worked.
USWA.
Generally,
That
he
was
worked.
post USWA, like Power Pro Wrestling or whatever it would be.
But I mean, he kind of went to an
98, 99.
independent or developmental as he was still trying to find his feet, and they were trying to find a place for him in WWF.
Yeah, absolutely. He did work in Memphis for the I don't know if it's like the Randy Hales version. It was after USWA closed up and they were replacing it with different versions. Next name on the list, and keep in mind there may be more than one match, but this is the
Oh,
match
I got to
I've
tell
got.
you, the Kurt thing, they just one of those things. I was so scared, by the way, because I knew he was an Olympic gold medalist for real. After I beat him as fake dude love, we were in Gorilla, and after the Bruce thing, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I turned around, he went to walk away. I go, hey, where are you going? Hand him over. He's like, what? I go, give me the medals.
Give me the belt.
I love it. We got to do that every episode.
Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho. Well, initially I was supposed to beat Jericho in Salisbury, Massachusetts for the ECW TV title. I believe I beat him and Jim Thorpe in the match where I was hanging by my feet when he wanted me to do a tope or a dive.
So there was that one as well, but I've got a different one where you beat him.
Oh, I beat him. Oh, right before WrestleMania 20. But it was Monday Night Raw. Christian came out with Trish. I think he kissed her on the stage. He got distracted. I rolled him up. Then after the match, he beat me up and like hit me across the stairs and everything and left me laying across the stairs.
Why is Chris Jericho? Oh,
Small
I'm sorry.
package out of Walls of Jericho is how I beat him.
Just before I forget, since when did Kid Cash go by the name Davey Morton Tyler Jericho?
For like 2 matches in ECW.
Yeah. I've got Jericho beats you in ECW. I don't have you beating him unless I'm going nuts here.
No, I might have gotten that wrong about
No,
Jim
I'm sorry,
Thorpe.
I'm wrong. Jim Thorpe, you wrestled him 3 times in ECW. Mm-hmm. Here's what's also interesting is that you beat Jericho while dressed as Chyna in SmackDown 99.
Oh, I do remember that. And I remember I felt so horrible because I was so butt heavy. He does that suplex where he throws you across the top rope and you bounce. I could not, for some reason. That was the day I decided to wear like anvils for boots or something. Because it might have been the outfit because it wasn't restrictive in the back, but it was very restrictive other ways. But yeah, that was the one where poor Chris, I ended up slipping over him there. But the most recent one was that one when he was going to WrestleMania against Christian, I believe, and ended up trying to put me in the walls of Jericho. Christian was up on stage. I don't know if Trish was with him and they did the kiss spot. And then I small packaged him 1, 2, 3, and then he beat me up on the outside.
I've gone crazy there. No, you wrestled David Jericho in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. So you didn't beat Chris Jericho in ECW.
I waited for the big stage, baby.
Well, there you go. Next on this, and this is on pay-per-view as well, Jerry the King Lawler.
Oh, Jerry King Lawler, No Way Out. This is the one where he was commentating right up until our match. We didn't really call anything, and this was for if you win, we get the cat. We get Stacy Carter. So that actually led to them both getting fired in Tucson, Arizona, basically because there was a bunch of creative stuff or whatever. I don't think they wanted to do that kind of thing with the right to censor anyway. That was my impression. And then when I showed up in Tucson, Arizona, they were walking out with their bags like at 12:30.
Okada.
We've
talked about this one.
Explosion.
Before, yeah.
TNA Explosion. And that was the time where they were trying to get Okada to work in American style. I remember the Motor City Machine Guns. See, I said it right this time. If you watch episode 99, um, there was going to be a thing during that time where Russo and The Office wanted me to kind of bring the younger talent along and have a player coach role, like Rob Terry, big guy, muscular guy. And I was supposed to work him on house shows, but then there weren't really any house shows. But yeah, Okada, that was the one where basically counter, counter, and then off the ropes, hit him with the Stevie kick off the ropes, 1, 2, 3.
The Sandman. You were a replacement for Raven and you defended the ECW World Heavyweight title against the
Multiple
Sandman, I
times.
believe.
Multiple times. I lost the ECW World title once to Sandman, defending it for Raven, who I don't know if it was gout or other injury or illness that took Raven out of the ring. And that's why I was defending the title, because he would have flare ups of certain things and it would really affect him. So, like, he pushed through a lot, but in storyline, it made perfect sense at times. I do not remember the exact match where I beat Hack as a heel. I remember going over in some multi matches and other things, like, on the BWO run before and after the pay-per-view, but I don't remember that exact location or date.
Well, it's more than one time. Philadelphia ECW Arena.
Well, that's an easy
the Doctor
guess.
is in.
Yeah, that was my first guess.
The Doctor is in. And then the Sports Fest Center in New York City, New York, that was in August.
Was that Staten Island, New York?
Sports Fest Center, New York City.
No, it's Staten Island more specifically. There was nothing in New York City. The closest ones were the Elks Lodge in Queens, and then the Lost Battalion Hall, also in Queens. But we never wrestled in New York City itself outside of the ECW invasion.
Next up, I don't think you ever beat him in a singles match, but Terry Funk.
I'm not sure. You know what? I might have. Yeah, I remember with Terry, there was a couple. We had singles matches like in the Beaver Dome in Pittsburgh, and I remember at the end of that TV that Bubba ran in and ended up getting a Stevie kick, and I stood in the ring over Terry after I kicked him. But I'm not sure no, that was a run-in later on. See, sometimes you'll work 1 or 2 times, and then you'll be, like we talked about with November to Remember, you do all that stuff, and they're all from multiple TVs. And actually, some of them are evergreen clips that, like you said about the match we're going to talk about with Octagon Jr., right? It was just put in the queue to basically air on a tape episode later. But I don't remember. I think mostly everything was a multi-person match or tag matches where I tug up a Raven and end up pinning Terry. That was also in New York, Buffalo, I believe. And I think I'm just swear I might have got one house show victory over Terry during that time.
I'll tell you the Terry one briefly. I should also say that you defeated the Sandman, and you weren't a replacement for Raven in May of '97. Is that the Catholic Youth?
Oh, that was
Trenton,
Scranton, CYO, Scranton, PA, right?
Yeah, it says Trenton, New Jersey here. CYO Center.
That's the other one. Okay, I had a match with Raven and Scranton where it went 45 minutes. So that I told that story about how he kind of showed how much more I had to learn, and he brought me to the deep end of the pool. But Sandman also tested me a lot. I think May of '97 might have been putting me over to try to keep me there or putting me over because Raven was already going to WCW, or at least it was basically just about a done deal. And Paul was trying to give me the credibility before he left. That's my impression, at least from back then.
Well, a few weeks later, you and Raven would defeat Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer on ECW Hardcore TV May 24th, 1997. As I said, you had a singles match with Terry that you lost May 2nd. That was in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
I'm trying to think about it. We wrestled in Asbury Park more than I realized, unless there was multiple matches, because we did. Oh, was that the multi-person match that's on ECW Unreleased Volume 3?
I never saw that one.
I have it on Blu-ray.
Next up, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. Now, this is an 8-person tag match, but it was at WrestlePalooza 95. It was yourself, Raven, a couple of the Dudleys versus Cactus Jack, the Pitbulls, and Tommy Dreamer.
I do remember that. There's been quite a few times where you had these large war games type matches with and without the cage. There's also the Ultimate Jeopardy match where, I was, if I got pinned, Raven lost the title. That was a great little stipulation, like the opposite of the Freebird thing, like where anybody can defend it. But with me, it was like, even if I wasn't defending it in these multi-person matches or tag matches or whatever they are, if I get pinned, Raven loses the title, which people are looking like, oh, is Raven getting, are they splitting up? Because this is a lot of like drama and stress between these two guys. So it was just a cool little stipulation. Can you imagine like if Miz was champion, but if Kid Wilson lost, Miz lost the title? That's cool.
It wasn't when Eric Bischoff lost the title for whoever it was.
Oh, David Arquette pinned him.
David Arquette won it, yeah.
Yeah.
See, there's good ways and bad ways of doing it. AJ Styles, you on a team with EV2 did beat Fortune, and therefore you hold a victory on paper over AJ Styles.
Was that Lethal Lockdown?
It was.
That was where I climbed up to the top of the cage and instantly regretted it and remember my fear of heights.
Bound for Glory 2010. Bound for Glory.
Yeah, Daytona Beach. Yeah, that's when we were supposed to have individual entrances, like, as far as like kind of war game style where the guys would run down instead of being around the cage like the old school war games. But I think because of time, we all came down together because you'll see my Titantron up there with Mix. So it was supposed to be me number one with Frankie Kazarian. Then we would do the 5 minutes and then there'd be AJ and everybody would come in. Matt Morgan was in that. He commented on episode 99. Matt Morgan did, by the way.
He did.
Yeah, he did comment about that.
Yeah, he messaged me as well to say that. But just in case you miss it, here's the comment. And make sure to pin it.
Yeah. Pure politician wants to cover all his bases, right?
Abyss. You did beat him once.
Ooh, there's a story behind that. Because this was because during the whole thing when this happened, and this is just basically Stevie do generic creative wrestler Warzone Stevie Richards, right? This is after Rob did the injury angle where they stretched him because they didn't want to pay him for more dates. Remember, they booked according to budget. Rob goes home in the middle of an angle with Abyss. And I go over on Abyss out of nowhere. And I had heard from the office that Rob wasn't happy about it. And I understand completely. It's like, I got this blood feud going on and I'm coming back. And now this guy just got put over on this guy, which they weren't doing much of anything with me. And that was a point of contention during that time with Rob about that. Not personally at me. I never took it that way. But yeah, I remember that match. And literally after that, they didn't do anything with me. I think Abyss beat me up after I beat him, right?
Was it on TV? I wasn't even sure it was
no, they took it. No, they didn't air it. They aired it and then it was gone.
Oh.
Yeah, they didn't want it. No, it was like my match with Nash that we were trying to find. It just doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, dude, don't worry, I will find that for you. This is going to be a surprising one for you, Stevie. Triple H.
Huh?
You, as part of a team, defeated Triple H and his team.
What?
The match was in 2008.
What?
You do a much better version.
What is it?
Most.
I don't. Wait a minute. Did we just cross? Did they turn the Hadron Collider on at CERN and we're in a different timeline? I do not remember this.
You were in a match and you were on the winning team against Triple H, who lost. The ECW roster defeated Triple H and Mr. Kennedy on WWE Raw. It was a 14-on-2 tag match. Do you have no memory of this?
I have no memory of this. I don't believe I was even ever in the match because you know what I would do?
You were in the match. You took one move.
From who?
You took a spine buster from Triple H.
I wanted to do that. I remember it now, only because of this. Because I said, if I was wrestling, and this is where I go back and I give all the credit in the world. compared to other people I've wrestled, especially, I remember doing that and saying, I've never been in the ring with Hunter. I got to do something with Hunter. And I was I wasn't politicking I was politicking for Hunter to maybe blow a comeback on me or do whatever. And then because there were so many people, I didn't know it was 14, but my goodness, I can't believe we even went over. Usually those things don't go good for the entire roster versus two people. But I do remember just asking him, dude, can I take something? Can I come in and feed you for anything? And he was like, well, obviously I'm not going to feed for the pedigree unless it's whatever. And I remember, I think it was like bump and feed type thing, or we were coming in to do something to where he was bumping multiple people. And I said, let me just come in during this. And can you give me a spine buster or the knee thing? Because I really loved the where you jump up and you both come down and you take a big Scott Hall stunner bump off the knee. But I remember that part. But man, the match itself, I couldn't tell you anything. I needed to and Stevie Richards' version of getting his stuff in is making sure Triple H gives him a spine buster.
Well, you'll be surprised to learn that Chavo Guerrero got the pin by frog splashing Triple H. No, just kidding. It was Mr. Kennedy he pinned. Rikishi.
Did he belly to back anybody?
Chavo?
No.
Oh, Mr. Kennedy. Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing. I was just scrubbing through to see
it's
if
a little
you got
Randy
in the ring.
Orton joke there.
Rikishi, but this was at pay-per-view as well.
Was this right to censor here, or it had to be?
Yeah, it was, yeah. SummerSlam 2000.
SummerSlam 2000, I pinned Scotty 2 Hotty.
I'm not saying you pinned Rikishi. I'm saying you beat the team.
Oh, yeah. That's why I missed the Stevie kick. I was so mad at myself. Scotty was going to do the worm, and it's hard to measure. So I didn't want to stiff anybody, but that's what you should do that early on. That's what I learned after that. But I totally whiffed on it. They got a decent camera angle on that, but I was like, oh, man. But when you say Rikishi, we actually beat Rikishi and Too Cool in that SummerSlam match.
JBL Bradshaw, several times, I think.
Several times? You're talking about the hardcore title era? Or
yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. The only other way was when I was managing and the right to censor actually beat the APA, which, I don't technically count for that.
No. Booker T, we've talked about this. We've watched the match on Patreon as well, but that was the Insurrection 2002 match where he actually beats you, am I right? But then you beat him straight back.
Yeah, he beats me, and then it's PJ. Crash comes in, PJ, Dreamer, a bunch of people came in. Then Jazz came in, low blow Booker T. Then I am the table. The table didn't break. Then we did it again, and Booker like frog splashed the table. That wasn't me. I just had a hold of his leg, and I went along for the ride. But yeah, it ended up with like that era was like me losing it and then going in a complete like 360 back to me.
I guess more of a legend within the business, Brad Armstrong. But we've talked about this match as well before, but I don't think there was anyone that you ever thought was ever any better, if memory serves me right.
Never. I mean, there's people we're going to talk about that are right up there, but if you're talking about it completely, people use the word underrated when they talk about me. You have to add the adjective criminally underrated. Brad Armstrong and the entire Armstrong family, I feel like fits into that. That was the ECW house show, one of the first house shows, correct?
Yes, he was brought in as a player coach, I think, to replace Marty Jannetty, who was hired and then never turned up, if I'm right in saying.
I don't remember that part, but I do remember them trying to find player coaches and agents that would be ECW only. And with that, and it was an honor. It still is today one of my favorite things that I've ever done, but unfortunately, it was a house show, and if anybody has some kind of cell phone footage or anything that somehow they saved, I would love for us to watch that.
Goldust. Do you remember the match?
We had so many. It was Stevie Night Heat for a fact, correct?
No, Raw. The one I've got's Raw, but I'm sure.
Oh, really? No, I do not remember that. Yeah. But you know what? With Dustin, the finish never mattered outside of the fact that we try to creatively go into the finish. Dustin's right up there. And you know what? Add that to a name to the list that you asked me for earlier, because he is a legend.
I'm just looking at if there was any others. The one I'm referring to, saw the singles ones, Goldust beat you, but the one I'm referring to is on Raw, a tag match. Steven Richards and Test defeated Goldust and the Hurricane, US Bank Arena, Cincinnati, Ohio, November the 11th.
Oh, wow.
2002.
That Stevie Richards and Test tag team lighting the world on fire. These young lions ready to go to battle.
Damn, you wrestled him a lot on. Oh, no. You beat him in the singles as well. Sunday Night Heat. That was 2003, June. Dallas, Texas. I'm trying to think if there's any others.
That's when I played the indie promoter who put himself over, because it was Stevie Night Heat.
We've only got a few left. Mr. Kennedy. Now, I know we mentioned the tag match for Triple H. I've got a better one for you. 2017 in Wildcats.
Oh, the X-rated show at the bar. That's the spot I told that where I was basically through the chair in the ring. I had the Rocky outfit on, like the Apollo Creed, but I was doing the Rocky stuff. It was the summer of Stevie, by the way. That's what I was calling it. So I grabbed that chair, which was like a school desk chair without the desk, and it just clicked and just came off. And I did the John Travolta Pulp Fiction, like, what's going on here? That was a decent finish too. They wanted a strictly heel finish, but not like just your standard DQ. And I knew I was in trouble. Ken was working me over in the corner, rubber mallets and kicks and all that. So it was easy. It was nice and safe. Boom, 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 boom. Just beat me in the corner. The referee, kind of waist locked him and said, you got to break it up. Did a couple of those things. So you think in the end, you're going to do something to cheat or hit Mr. Kennedy with a low blow. I'm leaning against the corner like this, just the corner's holding me up. The ref comes back to check on me. I just kick the ref right in the stomach and get DQ'd. Because if you know you're going to get beat, you're going to take the first opportunity to end the match. And we didn't tell the ref.
Yeah.
Aha.
Two left. And they're actually
this is way more than I thought, actually, with two more.
Brock Lesnar.
Was that the tag match in Chattanooga, Tennessee? Dreamer and myself?
It was indeed. January 19, 2002. And the other opponent was Randy Orton, who obviously you also beat.
There you go. We didn't pin Brock, though. There's no way in anything that we pinned him.
Did you pin Randy or was it Tommy?
Tommy pinned Randy. I didn't, Brock and I were just standing there watching it. But I was going to say, if I covered Brock Lesnar with how big he was back then, my elbows and my knees couldn't touch the ground.
Well, there you go. When anyone asks who did Stevie Richards ever beat, turns out loads of people, including Triple H, which you had no idea of. I know that's really stretching it a bit, but there were loads of names.
I think they did the Men in Black thing. He pulled that thing out after the match. I was going to say not quite the Goldberg streak or the Obafemi Open Challenge stuff, but yeah. Listen, just the opportunity. This is the thing too that people reminded. And I knew it. They said it in the comments during the Kevin Nash response video. I realized, dude, in the word I used, it's not even lucky, fortunate. It's downright blessed to have the career that I had and in essence have a second career now, a second business and brand. But I also want to say, just from a physical and medical standpoint, I should have said in the beginning, but like I said, the audience just is the foremost focus of us here. Just to be able to be sitting here mostly pain-free, to be able to walk, work out, and do all the things with the injuries and then the illness, in recent years and all that stuff, there's nobody more blessed than me.
Now, this isn't really a game, but I don't know what you're going to say now. And this is the next segment we had planned out. And this was your top 10 favorite legendary wrestling opponents. So I tasked you this morning with coming up with a bunch of names who you've wrestled, win, lose, or draw, of names who I would suggest would go down in history as, a legendary name. And a few of those actually came up on my list, no doubt, as well. But over to you, Stevie. Let us know. Have you got them in order, or is this in any order?
I don't think. I was just thinking that, to rank them top 10, I would just say 10 legends I had the opportunity to wrestle. I don't know what way you would put that. Obviously, for the title, you got to put like the top 10 or whatever. But Yeah, we could think about it. And like I said, CT got me a little bit earlier because I was just trying to remember certain people. I don't want to because I want to honor each and every one of these people are legends, if not Hall of Famers or both. You know, they deserve definitely their time in the sun. And this episode's all about gratitude. So I'm grateful for all of them and many more that had that did right by me or protected me and kept me safer than Heinrich ever could hope to keep me. I'm sorry,
Oh,
John.
Chris Van Vliet's doing an interview with him this month, I think.
Good. He was always a good guy. He was always a very good guy. So please don't ever take that. It's a running joke. That the joke's on me. Because like I said, in week 3, Dreamer comes out and goes, Wacko, I think they're trying to kill you. Maybe you should run. And he was right.
So give us a list then, if you would be so kind. But it's not ranked.
It is not
So just
ranked.
10
As a matter of
people.
fact, I'm going to look back on it right here that I was messaging back and forth to you because I want to make sure I get it right. Okay. So, what order do you think we should put this in as far as do you think we should put it in a career timeline or just make it kind of a random thing? Because they all kind
Yeah,
of
make it random. Make it random, but we know what's going to be number 10 because we're going to actually watch that match. So just
what's going to be the last
whatever list
one,
order it
not
is.
number 10, because that person deserves
Yeah,
all the
yeah, yeah.
reverence as well. I'm looking at it right here. Let's start with the person you just mentioned as far as one of the people that put me over. I didn't defeat, they put me over in the end was Booker T. I not only wrestled Booker T on that Insurrection pay-per-view because Booker T I give credit for in that match, testing me and also carrying me and doing all these things to make the match the best match it could be. That there caused Michael Hayes to come up to me before the plane took off, by the way, and before anything started happening, because it was the plane ride from hell. Michael Hayes came up, he leaned in, he gave me the knuckles, and he said, your stock raised so much tonight. Get ready. You know what I mean? Like get ready in a good way. We're gonna test you. We're gonna do stuff with you. And I put that credit on Booker T. And of course, we wrestled on Velocity a bunch, like maybe 2 times or maybe 3. Charmel was involved with that. It was always great chemistry with Booker. And it's just something I like that moment in England at Insurrection. Booker T probably in a lot of ways. I know I pulled my end, but Booker T to do what he did for me in that match probably kept my job and put me back on the radar. Oh, I forgot. Peanut Shell isn't talking much today because of his voice.
Yeah, but I don't have the
I
list either.
wonder what a sore voice. I wonder what a raspy voice. What's it like, James Romero? Please tell me. What say you?
Dude, I can't put any stank on my voice at all, man. That's why I'm so quiet.
Well,
No, go on. I don't
join the
have the
club. I
list. I
can't
don't know
stand
what you're
my
going to say.
voice either. Okay, so let's talk about this because I wrestled him in WWE and TNA as well. We're going to put Kevin Nash on that list. Kevin Nash is a Hall of Famer. He is a legend in the business. I wrestled him in a 6-man tag in WWE, and Test was involved with that as well. My partner Test left me hanging out to dry. I thought we were young lions ready to win those tag titles. And also, who was in it? Scott Steiner was on the side with Kevin Nash. And who was the third party? Was it Victoria and Trish?
So it was Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner, Trish Stratus versus Stephen Richards, Test, and Victoria. And you do that match twice. You do it on a house show as well in San Jose.
I remember that too. But the TV was where I took the big boot and then the jackknife, and they did a great camera angle on there. And then, of course, I was teamed up briefly with Kevin against Abyss. You know, he came in and saved me. We both beat up Abyss. Mick Foley came in and ran us off. But at the same time, there was the $50,000 bounty after Abyss defeated me and Jim Cornette's favorite finish with the taser. It was on the opening of TNA for a bit. I had a $50,000 bounty. I really liked what TNA, by the way, did. The creative team, the booking committee. We got to the climax of me and Abyss, and we thought we'd be done after that. I did the job. I lost to Abyss. Then they gave me a fresh coat of paint with the $50,000 bounty. Well, Kevin actually took my money. So I did a promo where screaming in the camera that, I'm going to take your career or whatever. went out there for the match with Kevin and then just babyface shine, big waste of time, especially when the babyface is 7 foot and can finish you off in like a minute. You got to start with the heat. Then when Kevin got to his feet, big boot, jackknife, another great camera angle, handheld from the mat. Looked like I fell, as Taz said, looked like I fell off a building. But that entire thing involving Daphne with Kevin and myself and the bounty, all that stuff was maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, but really a lot of fun. Kevin, so safe in the ring, so easy. Like I always say, 7 foot guy is lighter than a guy my size. Come on, that's really, really good. So Kevin Nash is definitely on that list. Right along with, let's talk about Ric Flair. Or did you have anything to interject with that? Okay, Ric Flair, we did a whole clip on that. I think we talked 15, 20 minutes, mostly me talking about that day, Philadelphia, all the different finishes that were lined out. It was supposed to be 50-50, 38, 30-70, 30-80. That would be something else, wouldn't it? But basically ended up being mostly all Rick, deservedly so. And then we did the stuff in TNA with Fortune. Working together was fine, personalities, whatever. But yeah, it was always really easy being in the ring with Ric Flair, even for the limited amount of time that and during that lethal lockdown, I did the Flair strut and the little hip gesture at him. I was just trying to get to work Ric Flair after the pay-per-view sometime down the road, which never happened, but he's on that list. And then we get into, basically, man, people that, boy, and this no disrespect to the other people, but incredible goosebump growing up, watching these people, not only in wrestling, but also cartoons. So let's start with that person right there. The one and only time I worked Sergeant Slaughter on Heat. I believe it was Veterans Day weekend, or that month, that day was Veterans Day or something. And Slaughter came out, was Washington, D.C., I believe. And you want to talk about, I don't think I've ever had goosebumps like that, hearing the fans on an entrance for Slaughter. And he had been my agent for some of my matches. So I was really like happy to be able to do that. And Sarge is somebody, like I said, yeah, I would start that in ECW. Always bring your gear, always have your gear with you, always have your bag with you. He was doing that as an agent in WWE. And I'm convinced that was like, oh, Sarge has his stuff, so put him in match with Stevie. Nobody was happier about him bringing. I thanked him incessantly. Thank you for bringing your gear. Because we always made the joke like, Sarge got his gear, so why didn't we put Sarge in a match? Well, you don't have to be careful what you wish for because wishes do come true. And that was my Make-A-Wish match. I was the Make-A-Wish kid in that match. So I think you could tell how much I revere like that match. If that ever comes up in my feed on YouTube, I do watch it. It's incredible. Although the nerd in me, if you go to the website, the WWE.com website where the match is, the audio sync is off. So when he hits me with those heavy forearms, they're like 1.5, 2 seconds late on the audio. It's like a big audio drift. Me as a video editor, I point that out. Okay. So right up there, goosebumps, everything. And somebody I also just look up to this day is Ricky Morton. Wrestled him in ECW as Big Stevie Cole. And Ricky, like, people think he's a unicorn now doing like Canadian Destroyers, doing Code Reds, all these, they're doing dives. But back then I was so amazed that Ricky was so, whatever. I wasn't a dangerous worker or had anything that was super complicated, but he was for everything. The side slam, the power bomb, go in the corner, stomp your foot, take the kick, clean finish. I can't say enough. And these are people here, the Booker T's, the Ricky Mortons, and then we're going to talk about the next guy. Ricky Morton didn't have to put me over in ECW. He was a legend already, and he didn't have a problem. And actually, I think Paul had told me that Ricky volunteered to put me over. And to this day, you know what I do? I haven't seen him in years. Anytime, and I might text him after the show. Here's what I do anytime I see Ricky Morton or I think about him, or out of the blue, he'll text me and say, how are you doing? He hasn't done it in a while, and I haven't done it in a while either. I will thank him for putting me over back in 1997. And he'll be like, you don't have to thank me. And I'll be like, do you thank people that have done really good business for you and made you look like a star? And he goes, of course. I go, so you're going to have to put up with me thanking you until the day we're both gone. Because the next guy, I still have probably the most amount of gratitude. I have gratitude for everybody who I've ever wrestled. But if there was going to be a number one on my list, if I had to do a ranking, Terry Funk. Terry Funk made me in the ECW. He made me look like a main eventer. He put me over. He taught me everything as far as during that time. I was a sponge trying to learn from Terry. He taught me how to fight back, like truly, like really fight back, because it felt like my life depended on it sometimes, because he was bringing it. He was like Booker tested me at Insurrection. Terry tested me, and he took me to the limit, and he made me a better worker, and he made me a smarter worker and a more intense worker to make me look like I could be in a real fight and have a chance. I owe my career to a lot of people, but as far as in-ring stuff, being taken to the next level where WCW and WWE were taking a look at me, and eventually WWE hired me, well, WCW hired me, fabulous 4 months, but that was because of people like Terry Funk.
I'm frantically writing down some extra names as
Oh,
well.
really?
Just in case. So if I'm not looking at you the entire time, I'm writing down some more names, questions. How many names have we gone through? About 6?
No, I think more than that. That was, 6. Look at you. You have that right there. So I said today CTE in there. So if you have more, we have the one we're going to do a watch along on, but if you could fill out the list to help me out.
Savage, Lawler, there's a couple.
Oh, that was down there. Yeah, it wasn't part of the initial list. Oh, Savage. The only reason, and it wasn't like I didn't have the opportunity I wanted, but I'll take anything I can get. But I also take great pleasure, since he put my name in the D bag during that U shoot, I take great pleasure to tell Danny Doring, this is for you. I got to wrestle Randy Macho Man Savage on TV, no less, on Monday Nitro during the Monday Night Wars, and you didn't get to wrestle him. You were I will give you credit for this. You were probably the biggest Randy Savage fan that I've ever known as a wrestling fan, as a wrestler, and now as a content creator. But you never got to wrestle him. I really feel for you that if you're looking at now, I only got to wrestle him once. But guess what's even less than the number one? 0. As James Storm would say, sorry about your damn luck. No.
You would say, I think you wanted at least one ECW guy. Did you not?
Yeah, Sabu.
Sabu.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is I have a bias. See, I can say it right off the bat. I have a bias, but I don't think anybody can blame me, because Sabu, House Party 96. And this is a repeating trend, I should say, or a repeating concept that so many people have made me, even though I have the label in later years or mid years to the finish of my career, people have made me, and that's what this business. And you know what I have to put in there too? Just a quick side note, but it's not a side note. He deserves all the credit in the world too, is Nunzio, Little Guido, put me over during the entire run of the BWO, including the ECW invasion at the Manhattan Center. Without Little Guido, without Axl Rotten, without Terry Funk, and even especially the very first time I was ever truly tested in a singles match and carried at the same time was House Party 96 against Sabu. Because you know what? Half shirt Daisy Dukes looked like a joke, whatever, came out and still acted like a joke, slipped on the entrance making fun of Sabu. But as the match progressed and I survived and I fought back, and then I almost beat Sabu, and then I still took the Arabian Face Buster, and then Meanie carried me off, the people gave me an ovation as a heel that they truly, dude, weeks before that, maybe months if you're being conservative, but maybe weeks before that, people are chanting Steve F's sheep and throwing an inflatable sheep around the arena. And then we're here in January of 96. That's because of Sabu.
There was a couple of people on the list that I gave you. One was Jerry Lawler. I don't know if he'd make it in your top 10, but I know the one who would, and that was Goldust.
Yes. If you had to choose, Lawler's a legend. I've had interactions with Lawler. One of my favorite matches was that It's Legal in Vegas, where Bischoff came in with the spin the wheel thing, and I wrestled Lawler. That was one of my most fun matches in WWE. But the person that never gets enough credit for being, maybe because he gets better as he gets older and he does more moves and he's like aging in reverse when it comes to wrestling, a person that never gets their just due is Goldust. And he's a person that's a legend, a multiple over Hall of Famer in my book, and one of my favorite people, not only to wrestle, but be around in general. He puts the fun in the business, but he also still puts professionalism within the business as well.
I'll give you three names that I don't think you considered. We did mention Scott Steiner before. I don't know if he'd be in your top 10, but there was Terry Gordy and Dory Funk Jr.
You just wanted to bring up the headlock match.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, well, Dory, that's the only time I wrestled Dory. I've seen him, actually, it's funny, I've seen him over the past few years in Florida, like in certain just random civilian situations and restaurants and stuff. And he's wrestling Ozzy Osbourne in a way, the way he talks. But, I'm sure if I shook his hand, I'd be on my knees going, can you let go now, Tori, please? But who was the other name again? I'm sorry.
Terry Gordy. He
wrestled
more than once.
Well, this is the theme. We can do a 24-hour live stream on all the people that I'm grateful for giving of themselves, give me an opportunity, selling for me, getting in the ring with me. I mean, there's even the brief thing with Dr. Death Steve Williams to be able to Stevie kick him, and then the third one, Stevie kick him, Raven goes over, New Jackson, all these people that put the BWO t-shirt on. I mean, Williams ripped it up, but we had interaction with that. There's so many people, and this lends me to believe too, once again, to not understand how much people were giving me during that time in ECW, the TV time, the investments, the creativity, the creative output, and to be able to have a guy like Terry Gordy sell for me and put me over in the ring to a certain extent. Sabu, other people. That's when I did the bad business, made the bad personal decisions and business decisions see, I'm getting your voice now. That's where I get kind of...
Don't get emotional on me, man.
I do. I get emotional.
Would Dallas Page count? You did have a singles match with him, Saturday night's main event, and Nitro, in fact.
I think but during that time, though, we got to know each other really well after that. But during that time, it was just like, I was just trying to find my footing in WCW during the fabulous 4 months, as you refer to it. And yeah, I mean, I always had fun working them, but not really anybody I could say did anything for me. It's not like, what have you done for me? What about me? What about Stevie? But it's like, now, if he had pulled me aside and said, hey, I'm going to mentor you and show you how to do, I would definitely give him a lot of credit for that.
No, all that happened was that you ended up having to buy Raven a TV, I think, because Raven was trying to copy DDP with the Birthday Club.
Yeah, well, he successfully copied it with me. He got his big TV for that. But let's include this name. I don't know how many names we have, or it might be up to 10 or so, or 9, because we have the last one that we're going to do the watch along. I really do, and this guy never gets enough credit. When you say legend or, not even potential Hall of Famer, but should be, and he is in the TNA Hall of Fame, where he ended up turning on Dreamer and DDTing him after his induction. I'm talking about
Chris
Raven.
Chetty. Oh, sorry.
Who are you saying?
I said Chris Chetty.
Chris Chetty. Well, Chris Chetty could have been a Hall of Famer. Yeah, definitely a Hall of Fame shooter. That's for sure. But what I'm looking at right there with Raven is he never gets enough credit, and that's something I try to do here as much as possible. And that's a guy that without his whatever way, it wasn't wrapped up in a nice Christmas present or birthday club present or anything like that. But Raven gave me the knowledge, gave me the awareness, gave me the psychology, gave me the confidence, after working together. And the chemistry that Raven and I had on TV and in the ring was hard to match with that. I owe I talk about everybody I owe different things to here at this stage and that stage, but we're here talking about things, breaking things down, using psychology, what went wrong, what went right, all these different things, the awareness to watch film. That's something Raven didn't even realize he taught me how to do because Raven told me, watch Memphis, watch this, watch that. And I ended up becoming somebody that was obsessed with the nuance and the detail based off his obsession with the nuance and the detail of the psychology and the promos. Maybe not so much the psychology of the technical aspect of it, but the basic psychology and all the tenets of pro wrestling. Raven is an absolute genius when it comes to that. Your favorite interview?
Before we get to that, before we get to our last name, Kane, which we discussed. Well, you didn't really wrestle Kane WWE, but you know who you did wrestle? The fake Diesel on an indie show in Collinsville, Illinois.
Midwest Wrestling. I lost the VHS tape. I don't know where it is. We can do a lot. I have to find it. Big Daddy Cole versus Big Stevie Cole. And yeah, that was the first time I met Glenn. And I heard he loved video games and other things, like we lined up and everything. And he was sitting there. This is so funny. I still bring it up to him from time to time. He's sitting there in the dark locker room, and I walk up to him. I go, hi, my name's Stevie Richards. We're going to be working tonight, whatever you want to do. Shook his hand. He this is funny because Glenn's not like this at all. He was like kind of lacing his boots up. He's leaned over and he gave me that kind of side eye look up like the veterans do, where I'm not even going to sit up to like square off and and shake your hand. He's like, oh, hey man, just did one of these. Then I was like, oh man, I got to try to win this guy over. Walked back up and I was like, I heard you like this game and all this stuff and that. And he was just like, yep. He did the Jeff Farmer. He did the yep. And I was like, oh, this guy hates me. We had the match, came back, shook his hand and everything. And he must have had something on his mind or whatever, but it was just like, how was this? Oh yeah, it was good. That was good. And that was it. And I was like, this dude hates me. So I avoided Glenn in the beginning of WWF. I was like, I'm not going near that guy. And that little I know that he was just kind of like a bigger version of me, only much tougher, much better worker, much more athletic, much more intense. Did I say much bigger? I have to say that twice. Other than that, we were twins from beginning to end.
You had nicer hair.
I don't know.
You had to shave his head.
When he had the long, he shaved it. When he had the long curly hair, he had a pretty good head of hair on him.
Okay, let's get to the last name. And we've saved this because we're actually going to do a full match watch along on this show. We normally save this for the Patreon episodes, but we found this match seemed to be jiving with YouTube well. And this is Stevie Richards versus Mr. Perfect on the international version of Heat from, what was it, around April 2002, something like that?
Yeah, I still had the short hair, so I was just growing my hair back. I just came back, and I was stringing up some really solid performances that were getting the office to notice me.
So then, without further ado, Stevie, let us watch this. It's not even what went wrong or what went right. It's a full match watch along. So analyze it. Analyze this, Stevie.
All right. Thank you very much, James. And once again, thank you to Mr. Perfect right here for giving the opportunity. There's Jimmy Corderas, one of my favorite referees and favorite people. I believe that's Corderas. This match, fun fact, took place in College Station, Texas. Worked out in their gym earlier today. It was a big thrill for me to be able to work out in such a professional facility for their college football team. April 15th is the date you gave me of this match, correct, James?
2002.
Guess who the agent was for this match on April 15th?
I don't know the significance of the date. I'm drawing a blank.
IRS, Mike
Is this an
Rotunda.
IRS? Right.
Yeah, on tax day, he was my agent. It's amazing, isn't it?
Dude, our tax rate's different, so I would have never got that in a million
Well,
years.
there you go. Everybody in the U.S. understands the pain, but I at least kind of like really reacted to that with that. But not as much as this. This was definitely a bucket list moment to be able to wrestle Kurt Hennig. As a matter of fact, I went up to Dreamer. I think Dreamer had wrestled him on a heat before that. Because if not, I would have went up to Dreamer and said, I would have been like a little kid. Nah, 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 nah. I'm wrestling Mr. Perfect. You're not. Kind of like I still do to Danny Doring in 2026 about Savage. So we could play this all the
No,
way
he
through.
he was 2 weeks after. He was 2 weeks after you.
Oh, so I did tease him.
Was Tommy.
Then he probably came
Yes.
back to me and said, hey, wacko, guess what? So, okay, we can play this straight through.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Here we go. I am nervous. You know, I'm nervous because you can see even my skinny body. Watch even with my sunken in chest. Watch the breath go back and forth. The heavy breathing. Watch.
Hey, just before we get to the match itself, I should have really asked this first, because I asked you this when you wrestled Savage, or when you got beaten up by Savage, I guess, in the match, in the night of upsets. And what was the process of going up to Kurt and dealing with him? Is he just the intimidating type? Is he just easy to go up to and say, hello, I am so-and-so, I'll be your opponent this evening?
Well, with Kurt, you have to, he seemed very disarming and very fun to be around. Obviously, they said he was a big prankster, a big ribber. So what I was more concerned with saying the wrong thing to Kurt or not coming off the correct way or the most respectful way and being on his radar to consistently get ribbed. Like sometimes they're very creative, but sometimes it could be like frustrating in a way, and that's something that I worried about. But I just, the same thing, Kurt, whatever you want to do, I'm out there. This is a huge honor. I hope you don't mind me marking out a little bit. Maybe that was where it was like, wow, he's just happy to work me and do whatever. I said, whatever you want. He let me do a lot in this match, even though it's a super short match. Like asked him, could I please do like pull him back and do this and say, do you know who you're in the ring with? You're in the ring with Stevie Richards. He pulls me, turns me around and does it back to me. And I said, dude, can you please do that? And he's like, oh, of course. He goes, how do you want to get into it? And that's when I said to him, can I do this first? And then you just turn me around. And then he had asked me like, hey, how do you want to take the perfect plex? And I said, can I do something where I do this and I go for a backdrop at the end and you just hook me for it and pin me with it? And he was like, yeah, that sounds cool. So he kind of let me, I think he was just like, what do you want to, it was the initial 30 to 45 seconds of, what do you want to do? No, what do you want to do? Well, what do you want to, serious, Kurt, I don't want to be, whatever you want to do. He goes, no, you do whatever, no, you do everything. I think he said, you tell me what you want to do or you're going to get a heat with me. I was like, okay, here's what we do. So it was a lot of fun.
Is that a thing with a lot of veterans when they're at this point in their career that they've done pretty much everything? They actually kind of want suggestions, or do some of them want suggestions for something new to do to keep it interesting?
I think as a younger wrestler, you think it's a trap. Like if you start saying whatever, then he turns around and say, hey, can you believe this guy? Like I'll follow you. I'll follow your lead, veteran. I've seen that happen. Like they'll be cool, but then somebody walk by and go, can you believe this guy's like not even letting me call my own match? Like how long you been wrestling? It's fun, but if you're trying and you're nervous and that happens, it's it's really stressful. But after the fact, it's funny. All right, we're locking up right here, which obviously is the most important part of the match. And when I locked up with him, James, and everybody out there, I might have giggled a little bit. Cause like I just locked up with Mr. Perfect, dude. This is crazy. I think I said that. I think I said something close to that. And he goes, well, I just locked up with Stevie Richards. And I go, or Steven Richards. I go, well, that doesn't mean anything. Cause we were, pushed off right there, did the thing. Curtis just kind of looking. Here's where like I couldn't believe in a way I was doing this. Chop him, and then said, "You're in the ring with Stevie Richards. Do you know you're in the ring with Stevie Richards?" And dude, I'm not kidding you. Even though he's very light, Kurt's got these big hands, and when he snatches you like that, I just nobody ever talked. They always talk about Kurt, how agile he was and how athletic he was. You lock up with Mr. Perfect, and you can see by he's a big dude, but when he snatches me, it's like you're not going anywhere. He is like naturally strong, and it's just like all those Minnesota guys seem to have natural power to them, like country strong, and I felt every bit of it. It's hard not to smile right now. Right there. Chop right there. And what I'm trying to do is just feed right there, the drop kick spot. Just amazing stuff right here. Really cool. The simplest of spots. But go down. That was his spot. Just go down. I'll leapfrog you and I'll just run in the and give you the drop kick, which I already knew the spot. I've seen it a million times. So I was hoping he would do it. So it's kind of like I was kind of like trying to insert little things to prompt him to do the spots. His like greatest hits is they're not 5 moves of doom. They're just 5 awesome moves or more. And then like even this cutoff spot where he leans in here and I give him the punch, that wasn't called. It was just like go to the outside and then like let's start the heat after that. It's just hit me with something and we'll start the heat. I just saw when he reached through the ropes, I was going to punch him. People love these pants, by the way. Those are dreamers.
See, I think they make you look. I mean, I think they make you look skinnier.
Well, I was skinny. I was 193 pounds.
Well, I understand that.
Which I would kill to gain 8 pounds right now.
Hammer.
I would kill to gain that much weight. I saw the opening. I was like, man, I have no muscle at all. The opening of this episode. But yeah, be able to punch him here, slide in. The way he takes turnbuckles, dude, that was the only thing that scared me. Because, you know, sometimes Perfect will bump kind of in a rolling way. You know what I mean?
He puts his arm down there as well for the side
That's
slam.
what I'm talking about right there.
Up, yeah.
But he used to take bumps like that all the time. Did you notice when he would take, like if somebody would kick him in the leg, he would do that flip and always land weird on the shoulder in the trap area. Here's something I wish more people would do. The kick out on this. Watch the kick out. The way he does it. Did you see what he did? Just yanked me off him by my hair. So he kicked out, but he did it in such a rough way. It's pretty awesome. Dude, you have to think, I'm not even joking, that the chop and to see Perfect like throw his arms back to sell, and then to see like when you throw a punch at Mr. Perfect and he sells like that, like he's rocked. They do it because it's professional. I do it because I'm professional. It's what you need to do to make your opponent, especially when you're going over. But he doesn't have to do this to this degree. He doesn't have to sell for me. He doesn't have to bump for me. I wouldn't complain if he just squashed me. But he's doing this, and every bump counts, especially at this stage in his career. The gravity's not lost on me, and I hope it's not lost on anybody else that he doesn't need to do that. And it's just awesome to see. And I think just one more point. You know why it stands out so much? And we can go back, we talk about the Kevin Nash video and other things and the way people kind of operate sometimes in the business. When somebody does something like in a way that's viewed not selfish, they're looked at like this is basically what he should be doing, right? It should be making the heel because he's going over and he's got to kind of overcome the heat. But in the business of professional wrestling, which has been kind of rightfully criticized sometimes with people being way too selfish, he looks super generous. You see that's why I'm putting it over so much, because sometimes it is such a unicorn that a guy of his stature is willing to sell and bump for somebody. It kind of stands out, which it shouldn't. Oh yeah. I said, "Is it okay if I miss the drop kick and I'll put myself right here for the next snap?" And then I said, "Is it okay? Because I don't want to get up too quick, but I can I get up and feed right into the knee lift?" He was like, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "We only got like 4 or 5 minutes or whatever. Yeah, let's go through this." Did you notice what I did there though? I usually grab my head with both hands. But you see right there? I'm not grabbing with the left because he's gonna hit me with the knee lift, but I still have the right side grabbing my head from the, neck snap. I did the Flair there. Oh god, no.
With the knee lift, I've got a question. Obviously, I remember Mark Mero doing this really, really obviously, I guess you'd say. Is that he would slap the back really hard when, like a split second before doing the knee lift. Is that kind of your cue to, like a physical cue to sort of lean back so you don't get kneed in the face? Or is it just kind of, are you just doing it via eyesight only, I guess?
Well, it's not really a knee lift, you could see it's a thigh lift. There is contact. You know who else was really great at the knee lift? And he was trying to bring it back as a Mr. Wrestling 2 finish, because that was the
I was going to say, Ted DiBiase, was it?
no, Raven.
Hmm.
Raven did great knee lift, and nobody like Mr. Perfect. Look at that. I did a whole thing on the Wrestling Analysis channel, the first one, about how great or underrated the knee lift is, and I'd love to do that again because it is really a great move when you think about it. Oh God, no! Oh God, no! I mean, that was really hurt, as you can see by my face. Oh, here's where he hits me in the side, right here. Boom, boom, forearm, and then I whip him off. A lot of Irish rips in this one too. And here's the finish. Look at the people getting on their feet, dude, you know? Once he hooks it, watch the people on a heat match. International heat, nonetheless. Amazing. Amazing stuff. Love it.
Is that your favorite, I guess you'd call it, Legends match ever?
Oh, just like we can't go 1 to 10 or whatever and rank them. Everyone has a special place in my heart and in my mind as a memory, as a moment. The Mr. Perfects, the Terry Funks, the Sergeant Slaughters, the Ricky Mortons, even tagging with Robert Gibson on his independent show in Douglasville, Georgia. That was a memory and a moment right there. There's memory moments that are not even in the ring, by the way. When I was on the Indies during a certain time in my career, in Pennsylvania especially, Bruno Sammartino would always either get booked for something or even just show up and be backstage before the show and then leave. Bruno was a huge example of how to carry yourself as a Hall of Famer and a legend. He wasn't even a Hall of Fame then, but I watched him conduct himself as just how should I say, just a very honorable, how should I say, honorable, just Hall of Fame person. Bruno was I would introduce myself. I would talk to him. I wouldn't talk much. I would listen more, but seeing him go up to everybody, even people that are setting up the ring or wrestling school or not even had their first match, and treat everybody with the same respect and as human beings. Bruno definitely carried himself like that.
To finish on the Mr. Perfect thing, he would remain with the WWF, because it was still F at that time, for less than 4 months. He was obviously fired after the plane ride from hell thing, of which he was nowhere near the worst offender, by the way. But like he, Scott Hall, maybe others got released at the same time, I think. But also, do you know why he was hired? So the story goes at this time was that they were going to have Royal Rumble surprises for 2002, which is where he made his return. And he looked great in it as well. I think he was like the 3rd place or 4th place in the Royal Rumble that year. It was brilliant. And he could still go. Obviously, he wasn't quite, the same as he was in like 88 or something like that, but he could still definitely go. And he was hired, I believe, because he had just wrestled Hulk Hogan for Hulk Hogan's Excitement Wrestling Federation, something like that.
The one in Florida?
Yeah. And I guess Vince or somebody got wind of it and they booked Mr. Perfect for that. That's the story I heard many years ago, is why he ended up getting the gig. But I'm trying to find the one with... yeah, there we go. Hulk Hogan, XWF taping number 7. So he would actually wrestle Hulk Hogan as well, and a bunch of other people.
Is that the one that had Jimmy Hart, had Hogan, obviously, Perfect, Bagwell, Vito, bunch of people were in that.
Yeah, Vampiro. Yeah, there were loads. Carly Colon, Carlito was
Oh,
in it
wow.
beforehand as well. So there you go.
I wish there was more of that, by the way.
The story.
I wish there was more things. I've heard of that throughout the years, that somebody went away or whatever. Somebody would go into Vince's office and say, you got to see like a tape of this guy, or you got to see this match, or at least watch a couple minutes. And Vince would watch and be like, yeah, we should bring that guy back or bring him in. And, oh, that kid looks good. Let's do something with him. Or somebody after a dark match would go up to Vince and say, not like beyond the mat, you know what I mean? Vince wasn't there, but somebody would say, Vince, you got to see what's going on here, good or bad. And he would take a very hands-on approach. It wouldn't be like, sometimes you would watch a full match and go, whoa, wait a minute. Or, oh, I heard about this. This isn't good. Vince, you got to give him credit at one point or another. He tried to be as consistently hands-on, or take that, somebody would have his ear and then his eyes would watch something and something would happen from that. And I guess with Kurt, that was an example.
Okay, then. We're going to go on to the news, and we're going to keep the happy theme going, because I think probably the best match of 2026, I'm pretty sure it's going to win most people's match of the year. I don't even know if it's entirely the match itself, but it's just the whole build to it, the atmosphere around it, the post-show. Everything around it was just an unqualified success from beginning to end. Was the El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano OG mask versus mask match from Noches de Los Los Grandes. I'm sorry, I forgot what the name was. But yeah, it was amazing. And then we had Clash in Italy the next day, and it was like, this doesn't... How can a WWE PLE not hold up to something from AAA with a much reduced budget, but it's just so much better in every single respect?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm sure we're going to speak in great detail about what was great about this match, but I think there's a bigger question, and it's not a negative question, but how can WWE get both these guys so wrong in so many different ways, or at least not have them live up to their potential on the main roster? I look at Ludwig Kaiser when he was with Gunther. I'm like, this guy's a standout heel. This guy has an air about him. You had to put a mask on two guys that can emote and tell a story with their face, right up there with the top guys, in my opinion. And Chad Gable, JBL's a quote on him. Yeah, he's right now, technically, probably right now, right up there with Kurt Angle as far as the way he can wrestle and do everything. They've had Chad Gable, more specifically, do multiple things on the main roster, including in the beginning, American Alpha with Jason Jordan. They were really, really good, and obviously Jason Jordan, now retired and agent. But Chad, whether it's with Otis, with the Alpha Academy, with, I forget their names now, the two guys, the two heel guys with the girl Ivy Nile.
I was going to say the Creeds.
The Creed brothers. But they called them, what they call them, American Alpha or American?
They were Julius and Brutus Creed. You mean...
But they called the whole group the American something.
Damn it. Chad gave... I know what it was, but
back to that. Yes. So here's the amazing thing, and how, like you said, AAA doesn't have the budget. AAA might not even have the staff, and that might be a good thing because you don't have 27 writers and all, you actually have a booker. It feels like AAA with The Undertaker has a booker instead of having a ton of writers, like booking like Dutch. This reminds me of a show that Dutch would book. This reminds me of a storyline Dutch would book. And it definitely reminds me of a climax and a finish of a match that Dutch would book, along with making this match special on the show. It felt like they left everything for this match instead of this was the sixth table bump of the night, and this was the 17th super kick and all this other stuff. This here, in other words, the way when I was watching this match, while I was just watching this match on Sunday while I did cardio, I was thinking about this because your line about the Slim Jim tables holds true on the inverse for this match. It wasn't a match looking for a storyline. It was a storyline that led up to a match. Does that make sense? WWE does it all backwards. This is proof of how WWE has it all incredibly backwards in the wrong way. You should be able to do this every single week on WWE TV.
Well, what? Okay, it's got to be too many cooks in the kitchen, because how many rights do they have? And I'm not talking about the ones that go to TV. They don't have like a full staff back at HQ.
I've heard over 24.
I find it impossible, this corporatization of wrestling, where they go out there, and we saw it with WCW as well as WWE. They go out there and make things more complicated by injecting more people into the equation. Where, do you remember when, like, Guido, or Gator, I always forget how to pronounce his name, in New Japan, and he had like a solid like 6 to 8 year run as the solo booker of New Japan when it was doing really, really well with the Bullet Club and stuff like that. He was one guy running a pretty darn big wrestling promotion, not the biggest in the world, but second biggest in the world for a very long time. As you say, Dutch, as you say, Dusty. There's
Cornette. Let's throw it all in there. Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many people who have had, and in fairness, they don't have as many hours. So even Tony Khan, he pretty much books the show himself. He could use a bit of extra help, I'm sure, and he does solicit a lot of people's opinions and then kind of disregards most of it, so we understand. But WWE just, I think the problem is the more people you inject into a creative process, the more homogenized it becomes. And this is just where we are now. And I know we're not meant to really be comparing WWE to AAA or anything else at this point in this segment, but it just slaps you in the face constantly. Man, those promos in WWE, they're all the same. And AAA got it so right, and they've been getting it right week after week after week. They don't have the scrutiny of TKO over them, I'm sure, week to week as well. But man, wrestling isn't that hard. And like the callbacks in this match all made complete sense. And it wouldn't really take a genius. You know, you've got Pimpy coming out. You've got the Creed brothers and Rayo and Bravo coming out. You've got Andrea, Ludwig Kaiser's real-life girlfriend, as well as in storyline, coming out in the right times to then, you know, affect the match in the right way. It's not that hard. I really don't think it is. But it's just a couple of people down there who understand wrestling and storytelling over the course of months. And that's all you need. You don't need 50 people. You don't need everyone placating Triple H. You don't need this whole thing where someone's scared of putting their hand up and saying, you know, what you've just proposed makes absolutely no sense. And then whoever's in charge saying, yeah, well, you know, it was a week ago. No one will remember. Wrestling fans got a very long memory. And they appreciate
Well, this match proves it.
Oh, yeah.
This match proves that wrestling fans want to go along for the ride emotionally. They want those callbacks in the climax of it. And I also said, here's where WWE on the inverse, because what we got, and these are two guys, this El Grande Americano gimmick was a comedy gimmick in WWE when he first came out. The whole, you know, the mask, on WWE TV, it looks silly, right? They don't really make it look like what AAA has done to really they kind of make WWE and TKO look stupid. Like if they can do it, why can't you? That's what we're saying, right? You have all the in TKO. This is where with Hunter. We asked last week about Taker. Would Taker replace Triple H? I'm like, well, Taker doesn't have to deal really with TKO all that much. Hunter's like right there with Nick Khan and Shapiro and Ari Emanuel and all these people, and he has to please all these people along with now all the egos that are right around there and all the sleeper cells, I call it, underneath the agents and then Bruce and Michael Hayes and all this stuff. Taker might just be able to just sit at his house, write to TVs, make some calls, do whatever, get there, figure stuff out, and book it weeks in advance. And guess what happens? It actually happens in the order that it's booked. And also, you don't have TKO going, hey, I know you got these two mask guys, but we got Jelly Roll that wants to work in Mexico. You could bump them guys off, put Jelly Roll versus Logan Paul. That throws an entire just wrench into everything and breaks up the total immersion of the fan, which that is a great word for this. People were immersed, including you and then me after it started. You were immersed and invested in where this was going, weren't you?
You didn't know. Okay, so I had been watching here and there, but I sent you the video where they had the brawl a few weeks ago. Where the blind comedian, that was another callback. Every single thing was referenced, nothing was left out. But I sent you the brawl they had about a month or so ago after Chad, OG Grande, takes him over the ring and puts the ankle lock on him. And the brawl was the best brawl I have seen in 25 years of wrestling. And it's not just the story going into it, it's the performers as well. Before we get into the match, I just wanted to point out one thing, and this is in defense of Triple H to a point, is that, yes, he's got TKO breathing down his neck. He also has to manage like 4 times the amount of people as well. So when he's going to these TVs, he hasn't just got 20 people going up to Taker, asking questions or whatnot. He's got 120 people, potentially, with a PLE and 2 TVs a week. So I can imagine it's hugely overwhelming. And I think at some point, don't you just kind of just like, you pick your battles of what you want to fight for, or what you think should really get all your focus as far as the storyline goes. So it is a lot easier when you've got 1 hour of TV compared to 5 as well. But that being said, Clash in Italy was terrible. The booking was awful.
Yeah, but you still have 5 hours. You have 5 hours, but you have more than enough talent to fill it, more than enough talent that can all sell merchandise, T-shirts, and get people involved with storylines, catchphrases, characters. We're going to talk about LA Knight during this episode. Oh, yeah. Come on. Put a mask on LA Knight and go to Mexico. Your career will be saved.
Well, okay.
A Grande Los Angeles.
That's a good point. I bet when Chad Gable got injured, because he was on Raw every week. He was Chad Gable one week, then he was El Grande Americano the next. He got injured in June. Shoulder injury, I think, or whatever it might be.
Well, don't forget he got murdered by the Wyatt Six and then won his match the next week. Let's not forget about that. You know what I mean? And then enjoy the show. The WWE made a joke out of that. The Wyatt Six literally took out Chad Gable and a bunch of other people, but he came back and won his match a week later. And they're just like, that's campy. You're talking about campy gimmicks. That's a campy thing.
When he got injured and then Ludwig Kaiser took over, he must have thought, wow, my career is dead. Because how can you look at that and think, that is going to make my career? Which it has. But it just seems like nobody could have planned this to go as well as it possibly could have. And that is actually, I guess, to WWE's credit. Because they are the ones who, manufactured all this, and then they started putting Ludwig's version into AAA. But this was just a complete Hail Mary. That was a roll of the dice, just putting him under there, because he wasn't even they weren't doing anything with Ludwig Kaiser. He was just one of several guys after the Intercontinental Championship, always in triple threat matches with Penta and whoever else it might be.
Or the guy that would get beat so Gunther didn't have to do a job. Yeah. Let me just say this. So I think this is the question a lot of fans who having a deep appreciation for what AAA and Taker and everybody involved. Let's give Ray credit. I think Ray has some input. He's the on-screen GM, but he's got other stuff, I'm sure, backstage contributing and helping these talents come along. What's the first thing you think of? Say after all this, you say Chad Gable's going back to WWE on the full-time roster after the mask versus mask thing. What's the first scary question that you and I and everybody has in their mind?
What are they going to do with him? Are they going to call him Shorty G
More
again?
specifically with their track record after this amazing storyline, getting this over, the amazing match, the climax, everything that came together so well to create memories and moments. What is a more specific question that you and I would ask when Chad Gable goes back to him, Ludwig Kaiser, go back to the main roster?
Are they even going to reference it? Well,
how long before they ruin them again?
Oh, yeah.
How long before they mess it up?
I want to bring this up. WWE Raw, I don't know if it was on the same as your feed. On Netflix, our feed, they had the entire episode of Raw, and then they played the entire hour of the El Grande Americano match. The entire hour from beginning to end, including the pre-match promotional package. That's how much they loved it internally.
Well, if you love it internally, then those two talents need to be handled the way they should have been handled from the very beginning. That's it. If you're not going to translate that, and those guys did all, and they literally were bleeding all over the place. It was a classic AAA mask versus mask, trying to tear the mask off, blood everywhere. That was about as great. You're talking about gritty. That was not sterilized, sanitized violence. That was a fight between two guys with high stakes that the people believed in. You can make mask versus mask a joke, right? You can make it silly like WWE probably would. They made people care. Man, somebody's going to, well, in Mexico, that's what it is. But they paid great respect and reverence to that.
They made people care, and we knew who was under the mask. We know who they both are. Because it was a joke from the off, and somehow they started it off as a joke and made it important. That is how impressive that feat is. Because we know it's Ludwig Kaiser. We know it was Chad Gable. We knew from the first second. There was nothing to be lost here. Yet all of a sudden, everything hung on this match. It's amazing. Can I also ask this, just before we move on to the match itself? Why couldn't WWE, with the exact same people, all 6 of them, including their respective seconds, not get the broader WWE audience to care about this feud whatsoever, where the exact same guys in AAA, it's unbelievable. Is it partially because of the Lucha Libre culture, that they've got the advantage, obviously, in Mexico? Or is there something WWE was doing or not doing with those two guys that made people just stop caring? The Royal Rumble, they barely got a reaction, but it was Saudi Arabia. They had a singles match 2 days or whatever it was after the Rey de Reyes in March. That got huge reactions in Mexico, of course. Then they come 2 days later to Raw or whatever it is, and it's crickets, practically. Then they have a 6-man tag match with all the Americanos, and for the most part of the match, it was crickets. And they booked it after they'd already signed the contract in AAA that they couldn't touch each other, lest they lose their masks. WWE had so little care for that stipulation that meant so much in AAA that they went, yeah, just book them anyway. And then they had to retroactively say, yeah, no, it's only in Mexico, they can't touch each other.
Yeah, well, what you're describing is the word that really stuck out to me is care. If the WWE doesn't care and doesn't put care into it and doesn't tell the fans, you should care about this, then the American fans will not. I have one of my theories, I have the tendency to do some of those C theories, if you know what I mean. So my thing is, it felt very much like what I used to experience in ECW, that the fans just wanted to kind of stick it up WWE or WWF butt at the time and help make these people stars, help make the talent stand out, that they want to enjoy wrestling. And obviously you have to be careful anyway, because the Mexican people really do care a lot about professional wrestling. The masks do mean something, whether you know who's under them or not. So you have to play it with a great deal of respect and reverence. But I think that example should carry over to the US where the fans are like, fake wrestling, whatever. Jelly roll, whatever. You know, TKO might treat it like a joke. I'm sure Triple H does not treat professional wrestling or the creative that he's in charge of as a joke. But you have to please the TKO masters there. In AAA, it feels like, and tell me if I'm wrong, it feels like they're trying to please the actual wrestling fans in the audience first and foremost.
It feels like they're trying to write episodic TV and taking care. It's like they've got.
It feels like they're trying.
Yeah, it feels like.
How about we just stop there?
You know, like I can't remember which number it was, but it's like second or I think it's like third assistant director in films, right? Whose sole job it is to maintain consistency and continuity. So if you've got like a set out there, and let's say the principal actor picks up a glass, and then they drink out of it and they put it somewhere else, then they have to reshoot the scene. Their job and their job alone is to make sure that every object is in the right position from when they started. So there isn't, those blooper reel kind of things going on.
Well, there's no third director on House Hunters because everything's always out of order and weird, whatever on that.
Well, apparently WWE's
Those
like House Hunters
shows.
But
they don't have a first director for House Hunters. There's a phone, just go around and shoot everything. We'll make it work.
You get the point I'm making. It's like they've got someone there who...
There's quality control people that handle all that stuff.
Yeah, whereas if you remember, TKO did that video with all the vice presidents or the talent relations department, and they were saying, this guy is the guy who does all the quality control, who oversees all the quality control, and then a week later they released that Royal Rumble t-shirt through Hot Topic with Titus O'Neil on it instead of Test. You can't write it.
It's almost like they're just trying to please the stockholders with all these PR things, but they're not really doing any of that stuff.
Let's get to the match itself. Let's get to the presentation. The thing is with AAA still, it's kind of cheap and cheerful still with all these, pre-match vignettes and stuff. It's not like the epic stuff we get with WWE. Would you prefer it WWE style, or do you like the charm of it, of AAA's version?
Well, with the way I look at production, I always want to make everything a cinematic movie and do all that stuff. But the thing with AAA, and I know we disagreed on the saturation, the colors, the presentation, but I still stand by that. Like you said too, I think Dutch's thing with just kind of keep it simple for me, smack me over the head with it, do it out, slap it across my face. It's simple to the point. Also, there's something to be said about rather than going full WrestleMania cinematic package or whatever, to just have somebody look into the camera, talk or do an interview and speak like they're going into a real fight with real stakes. There's something to that. I feel like, you know what AAA's doing? Even though they're part of WWE, and I just realized it, what do we always say about AEW or other companies, what they should do in relation to, say, competing with WWE, or at least trying to stand out away from WWE? Whatever WWE is doing, do the opposite. Feels like AAA is doing the opposite of everything. Do you feel that way?
What, making it gritty and exciting and not having too many ads? Oh, they just signed a Ram truck sponsorship, by the way. But I don't even care. It's like, get sponsors, that's fine. Just don't bog down the show with it. But they have as much wrestling in 1 hour that Raw has in 2.5.
I feel like, dude, I know we're never going to go back to that, but AAA, how many episodes and how many times have I said, I know advertisers watch time metrics that they lean on and everything. It'll never happen. But AAA is an hour in and out and makes the people want more. Raw and SmackDown make you say, I don't know if I can even finish this. Plus the ads. Yeah. So if they could go to 1 hour, even 90 minutes, why not make people the episodic TV? The episodic TV means this has happened. Now I can't wait to see what develops from this next week. Raw and SmackDown, outside of everybody obligatory tables being smashed or whatever, it's literally almost a period at the end of every show. Where's the cliffhanger? Oh, Jacob Fatu left Roman Reigns laying. Oh, wow. Next week, Roman Reigns leaves Jacob Fatu laying. Now we're going to have the rubber match at the pay-per-view. Am I off base with that?
Dude, I was saying with WWE, even in like their PLEs, they're just going back to the same stuff every month. Like it's either exposed turnbuckle shots or it's toolboxes for some reason. Like, and they're killing those.
He or she is back. He or she is back. There's your. It's like they're booking for pops. They're not booking for immersion in the storylines.
And here's the other thing I've got to ask you, and mention this at least, is that they do so little on those shows. So why are they struggling so badly with creativity when they've got dozens of people on the creative staff, and they don't even do that much on these incredibly long shows? They've only got 4 matches. Like even with the PLE that I mentioned, they had 2 matches in a row where people's leg were on the ropes, and that was kind of like the finish/false finish. 2 in a row.
You know what it feels like to me, and I could be wrong, but I don't think, I think I'm more right than wrong with this. Since TKO took it over, and it's become the word that people used in your solo video for Clash in Italy was soulless. This is a corporation we're watching. Everything is done in excess and not efficiently. And everybody, I think what they do when they sit down for creative, like you said, it's a stipulation looking for a match instead of a match looking for a well, I don't know which way you put it, but it's wrong. Slim Jim tables. So if they sit down and they're booking the matches or putting the storylines together, like, all right, how can we fit Ram trucks in here? How can we fit the Wheatley vodka in here? How can we fit somebody's got to go through a Slim Jim table. Am I wrong? Now you're talking about this robotic corporate, very, very bloated process where in AAA, it's like, for all we know, Taker shows up with a notebook and a pen or a pencil and just starts writing or writes ideas down on the plane as he's flying there. There's not 15 Zoom meetings throughout the week, and they're working 100 hours a week trying to put these shows together.
There will be.
It's not that hard.
There will be. I mean, I still love Dutch's story of how he used to book when he was really successful. He said, I sat on the beach, drank rum, half thought about it, and then I kind of didn't really have an idea until what I was doing until about, 20 minutes before we recorded. Just figured it out. And here's the thing is, I think, one, it keeps your brain sharp. Do you know, this has nothing to do with anything, but when I used to write all my formats for interviews, I insisted on doing it the morning of, because it forces you, that time deadline forces you to focus. It also forces you to remember what you asked the week before, and, that's how I always do it. And I think a lot of people could benefit from, instead of having to agonize over stuff and overthink yourself, which is a huge problem as well, just drop it and then just come back to it the day of and just, have a real focus session. And think about it throughout the week, maybe write down the odd idea, but don't really put pen to paper until the day of or, a few hours.
Well, here's the problem with that. But here's the WWE problem with that. How many deadlines do they have per week? I'm just giving them a little bit of grace, talking about Triple H and everybody who's involved with that. You have a deadline almost every day. And we're talking about hours upon hours upon hours. I didn't even know Clash in Italy was happening until you told me you didn't go. So I did. That's what I mean. It all runs together. Triple H just feels special. And in the shows, the episodic TV shows in general feel more special. And this particular episode with both the El Grande Americanos felt, good Lord, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't want to just speak so far out of turn and say WrestleMania level of climax of a storyline, but it was definitely a pay-per-view level climax of a storyline.
Better than WrestleMania. Name one thing of WrestleMania that came even close to this.
Nothing I can think of. It definitely wasn't Cody and Randy. It might have been night 2 with Punk and Roman in a way, but there wasn't. But WrestleMania was pretty much booked 6 weeks before. If we got from the Rumble to WrestleMania, now we got something. But dude, I just feel like WWE they're overcomplicating it. They're overprocessing it. They overcorporatized it, although of course, really overcorporatized it. And I feel like they're creatively bankrupt and have been for a long time. Not because you can't create, it's because all these other masters that Triple H is serving, and then maybe after after we get all the sponsors shoehorned, then maybe we can actually book a finish that makes sense.
Yeah, they've created a system that sucks the creativity out of the process, I'm sure.
It's an advertising system with some creative control.
Right, let's get to the match itself. Take us straight through from beginning to end, as much as you can remember and what you liked.
Oh, me? Oh my God. What I can say is that I was watching it during cardio. First of all, you felt like in the beginning that the fans had the anticipation and that both guys felt that anticipation and weren't, how can I say, like you talked about on the watch along that you can tell when a match is going to go very long because of the pacing and the way they approach it. But I would say this, if there wasn't a storyline and there wasn't a weekly build up to this, and then they put some real life stuff in it with Kaiser and the girlfriend and then her getting fired and all that stuff, all the things that had happened, if they didn't happen, this would have been a severely overbooked match. Do you agree? Because what are we doing? We're just throwing stuff together and there's false finishes and the WrestleMania kickouts and other things. But if they didn't put the blind comedian in there, if they didn't put the girlfriend in there, if they didn't put the battle just to get the mask off before the actual finish and ripping, if they didn't put the blood in there, if they didn't put the run-ins and the people being run off and the dive spot from the side of the Titantron on there to let the other guys in the ring catch their breath and get back into it. Dude, I'm not going to give you move for move, but I am going to give you template pacing, spots, roller coaster up and down, all this stuff. Fighting spirit. Dude, what has fighting spirit ever gotten into the point where you're like, oh, they're not just hitting each other to go back and forth. They're really just the little things of the way they sold the tropes of the fighting spirit, the tropes of the NXT or WrestleMania kickouts. It was like, to me, it was like, I literally said as I was on cardio, the trope of the commentator. My God, what more do they do to the guy? What more does this guy got to do to beat this guy? You got me on that in a good way, brother. That's, to me, it was one of those matches. And I'm just saying, because you're like, recall one spot or this and that. I recall the bullet points that really, really mattered. Like I said, the people on the outside, the cameos, the interference, the runoff, the kickouts, the belly to back off the top to me was like, that's the one thing I think that they should stop doing, like reaching the back of their head to pop a shoulder out. But just everything was done to absolute perfection, even after the match. The match ended and I watched and I was like, we got another like 10, 12, 15 minutes after the finish for people standing in the ring, for promos, for the unmasking, for the Gable chants, for all this stuff. And I didn't feel like, oh my God, get it over with already. I was like, okay, what are they doing now? What's next? What's everything here? Now they got me to be like, are they going to be able to keep this up after the climax? And what's going to happen with Gable? Is Ludwig Kaiser going to be Ludwig Kaiser? Is it going to be the new gimmick? What is it? Uno? El Americano? What, or only one Americano? I forget the way they made the name.
Yeah, that's right. Well, he was, I think at one point saying he was the real one, but he's the
one and only.
He's the one and only now, yeah.
So I have to rewatch the match. In all honesty, we almost had too much into this match. Not in a bad way, but this is a match that has awesome replayability as well, where it is something tomorrow I'll probably end up getting back on it because I'm like, I got to remember this. We even thought about doing, it would have been the longest watch along on Patreon ever. Would use all the video storage on Patreon because you can't skip over any of this.
It's very interesting that you said it's got replayability. I've seen comment after comment saying I've watched it more than once. And I was thinking, when was the last time you personally, Stevie, felt about a match like that? Maybe Okada Omega, something like that, maybe?
Yeah, Okada Omega is right up there with that. Even though they technically didn't have this kind of story, it's just one of those matches that you're like, they have multiple. I think they have three, and dude, we're talking about hour plus, right? So these are matches. I don't think the first one won an hour, but they've had multiple ones that have gone over an hour,
Mhm.
correct? And it didn't feel like an hour. It just felt like what was the match? Was it Bryan Danielson Omega on AEW that won an hour?
That may have been one of them. I think Will Ospreay MJF went nearly an hour as well
I watched
last
that one
year.
as well, but the Omega Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson match, that's got great replayability as well. Warrior versus Hogan has great replayability for me. Brett versus Bulldog, Brett versus Owen, Brett versus Ray. How about this? The entire King of the Ring that Brett won, the pay-per-view. That entire pay-per-view has replayability. WrestleMania 42, either night, no replayability.
I don't think anything very much has got replayability for me. I don't know. Maybe is it just like a nostalgia thing as well?
Well, I would,
Or is it a commentary thing?
I think,
Because, like, what commentators do you listen to now that really enhance the match to the point that, oh, I've got to steal that line as a quote, or, oh, it, warms my heart to listen to Bobby Heenan or something?
what other match? I talked about this before, and I just watched it like 3 days ago. Cruiserweight Classic, Cedric Alexander versus Kota Ibushi, and you bring up commentary. If they could bring back Mauro Ranallo, that would be, I can't say it with my Philly accent. You want to talk about a guy that gives a big fight feel? One of the reasons I watched that match, besides the two guys really, really just did an amazing job on that, his commentary gave me that big fight feel there. He's the closest thing to a Joey Styles, Jim Ross, even a Vince, Mike Goldberg from UFC, and he's commentated mixed martial arts. But that's what makes it. The commentary definitely made it on that. And it's funny as why you got JBL's quote. John's commentating, and all I can think of is, how are the fans still not mad at you about the Eddie Guerrero vignette you shot at the border? How are they? Because they're passionate, dude. And John did a great job commentating as well. They all did. It was the absolute perfect package to where at the end of it, I was like, oh my God, did everybody do too good for WWE? Are they all buried now? Isn't it the scary thing about pro wrestling? Did you have that thought? Well, you're never going back to
No,
WWE.
do you know what my worry? Do you know what my worry was? Is that WWE would see how well they were doing and want to bring them back, and then have no idea what to do with them.
That was my question
Yeah.
earlier. How long until they ruin them?
Well, I'm not saying even purposely ruin them. It's like all they see is the payoff, and they think, well, we could just recreate it here, even though they've had the opportunity and couldn't. But that's my worry, is that they'll think, well, they're so over there, and we'll bring them back over, and then they'll realize that it's not the same, or they don't have the idea, or they don't have that kind of creative infrastructure to make them as important as they are south of the border. And then they're just back to where they start. And this was a huge victory for both of them, because I kind of think that these are almost career mid-carders in WWE that have proven they can pack 15,000 people into an arena. They've proven that they can do a 30-minute plus match, the best match of the year, in any WWE company and probably any wrestling company in the world of 2026. And I don't think WWE will appreciate it. That's the biggest worry.
Yeah. I mean, I would think, since I just watched it last week, that it wouldn't win, but right there in the contention for match of the year so far would be Joe and Ospreay. That was right up there. That was very,
Are
very,
you with me then?
like I said,
I'd really loved that match.
yeah, I'm with you on
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it was the best match of the night, but one of the best matches of the year as well. But when you watch this match, you're like, this had it all. If Ospreay and Joe had the storyline and the care, that match would have even meant even more. But man, you want to talk about big fight feel. That's what I'm talking about. So with this too, Dude, you just gave me the scariest thought that might actually work in their minds, but not work. What did you say about when they wrestled in America when they weren't supposed to touch in Mexico?
They just.
You know where I'm going with this.
Oh, do you think they'll just put the mask back on Chad?
They're going to redo the whole thing. I hope not, but with track record, they'll be like, well, nobody watches, nobody knows what's going on. Like they're going to go back to the territory days, like Dutch. Nobody knows what happened in Oregon, so let's do it in Florida.
I can't remember who told the story, but I love back in the territories where I was like, hang on, I saw Harley Race coughing up blood from like a knee to the gut by whoever it was. Or maybe it was Grizzly Smith, I don't know. And then whoever it was, their family like went over to the next state over where Harley Race or whoever it was also wrestling. It's like, well, hang on, he's just been killed on TV. I saw him, but now he's wrestling like it's just fine in North Carolina, wherever it might be. But hey, it was the charm back in the day, wasn't it?
But now there could be a real thing like we can run it back and do it all over again.
What about the post show? I know you hinted at it beforehand. It's very, very. MJF said this not too long ago. Just because in WWE mask versus mask or a hair match, because he went into Double or Nothing, I think it was, hair versus title with Darby Allin, right? And he was like, yeah, just because it's a joke in WWE, it ain't a joke in Mexico, isn't a joke in Japan, isn't a joke anywhere but WWE. And they're right. This should be a huge deal. Hair versus title, mask versus mask. Mexico has, they do it with such reverence, the mask taking off. I remember watching a few years ago Dr. Wagner Jr. taking his mask off, and they do the same thing. They give their name. Chad Gable gave his fake name because he's not Bennett, but it's something like that. It's his real surname. But, he gives his name. He's got his family there. His little boy takes off the mask at the same time, more or less, that he takes off the mask. And man, it's like they bring in so much reality to it because Ludwig Kaiser really is the partner of Andrea Bozzate, however you pronounce her name. That was really Chad Gable's family coming in. There was real emotion there. And you know what? I don't know if Chad's just a great actor, but I got the feeling he was kind of really sad that this run had come to an end because why wouldn't you be sad? It's been such a great run. And who knows what's in his future?
For both of these guys, and I'll get to the post-match things, it reminded me of something completely different, and I wish they would do it more often. The WWE will beat everybody with a sledgehammer doing it every single week, and it won't be special. But I'm looking at that. This was there's prove-it contracts in football, prove-it deals in other ways. This was the prove-it storyline for Kaiser and Chad Gable. So the emotion, like it's over, it's almost like we proved we can carry our end of whatever opportunity. We can carry a main event storyline. We can carry a main event match, a main event spot. But the sadness could be WWE is never going to do anything with me as good as this. And what is going to happen to me now? That's a real worry. What will happen to me? And him and Kaiser, man, they were throwing live rounds. Nothing to, hurt anybody really bad. But that was a fight, dude. And speaking of fight, the post-match, or let's say post-fight, everybody standing in the ring, being interviewed, all that stuff. What does that remind you of?
Boxing, almost, actually.
Yes, in UFC. Yeah. Why don't we have that instant type of thing with two guys in the ring that just fought, get their thoughts, and if they have to be pulled apart again, it's not over. Do it right there. Don't have this backstage segment, 2 segments later. What was that all about out there? Oh, it's just my neck. And you know what I mean?
But they don't have a host anymore. No wrestling show has a host. We said this ages ago, Tony Schiavone in AEW, you might as well have a bit of rag on a stick for how useless he is as
the guys take advantage of that too.
But that's not Tony's fault. It's Tony Khan's fault, ultimately. Tony Schiavone, Mean Gene, he was the host of the show. And do you know what else you didn't do? You never took the microphone off him.
And you never really disrespect them in a way like, you don't mean nothing. Give me that. Like you say, give me the microphone. If anything, and I loved this part about Gene would play along if you would play along, and that's what's missing. That's what's missing too. Referee, talk about Pierce and Aldis, and you talk about the people that conduct interviews. If you mess or get in the personal space, put your hands on, or intimidate, or try to do anything out of pocket with an interviewer or somebody trying to get your thoughts and reaction, you should immediately be fined and taken off TV. There should be consequences. Those should be respected authority spots. Do you agree with
Yeah.
that? What if a football player grabbed like Troy Aikman and say, hey, you don't know what you're talking about? First of all, Troy Aikman would probably try to beat his butt, but he would be fined and maybe even suspended for what he did. We need guardrails and we need authority that means something in WWE. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Referees, do you remember when you put your hands on a referee? Well, that's going to cost them a lot of money. That might be a suspension. That's a huge deal. That's terrible. Man, referees, these, or security, they get these indie wrestlers to be security all the time, and they're just bodies to be thrown around, especially if you're Obafemi or something like that, with no consequence. And the point is I want consequence. AAA does consequence. Aside from when they actually did fight each other, and then Ray said, "Yeah, we're just gonna have to match anyway," like Raven.
But
the thing is, he was the babyface commissioner, GM, and that's his first act to say, "No, people are paid for this. People want it. We're going to do it there. That's that." That's his role, and that makes sense in for once. One time to do that, but like there should be consequences.
On TV, Rey Mysterio. Yeah, on TV, Rey Mysterio has better business sense than TKO. He can read the room and the audience better than they can. I want to just say, I'll go back to my point before. You can solve a lot of issues, especially with former wrestlers and other people that need that next chapter or just still want to make a living in the business. Why don't you have actual wrestlers, former wrestlers, be referees, not special guest referees, actual thought. I see the guy like Big John McCarthy I always mention, then the guy with the really long mustache that tucks it into his shirt. And when I saw a guy going for the knockout, he hit the guy who was out. This guy does the Monty Brown pounce on the guy on top and cover. Doesn't it put legitimacy into it that now when you can't push that guy around. So now you need to try to really win the match. In other words, there's no creative scapegoats now to do that. Why not hire actual wrestlers with size to look like security? They don't vet that independent wrestling security people. You got a guy 160 pounds, like getting thrown by Obafemi. What's the thing?
I liked it when Doug Dillinger was there because you knew it kind of meant business, even though I'm pretty sure he couldn't do anything. But I think they only people put their hands on him like once or twice. That was a big deal. It was a big deal when somebody would grab Mean Gene or Bobby Heenan when they weren't supposed to, like Brian Pillman did. It was a big deal when somebody went after an announcer or something like that. And now there's no consequence. But the thing is that you don't even have a host. To get back to the El Grande Americano thing, where you're saying at the end of it, you have that host in the middle. He was doing it. It was just the ring announcer, wasn't it? I don't know who he was, but
I think it was the ring announcer. Yeah, they had to do the translation of what Chad and had said.
Okay, so let's get back to Chad Gable and the speech and how they did it. And once again, it just full of emotion, full of reality, even though there is no reality there, because we already knew who it was in the first place, and he gave a fake name. But there was.
I think there is reality to this, James. There's reality to Chad Gable, especially Chad Gable, but more recently Ludwig Kaiser, not getting the opportunity to live up to their true potential as talents. Chad was sad in a way because he's like, what's next? Maybe not as good as this, probably not, especially if he goes back to WWE. And also, they literally proved to the entire world of what they can do and how they can do this. Taker proved how he can book. Probably the best angle, the best match of the year so far. And we were saying, like, Taker just went down there, he just decided, hey, let me just book AAA as if he was just, it was a hobby, or he was like, had nothing to do on the weekend or whatever. He seemingly is taking this very, very seriously. And he might be Booker of the Year if this continues. Maybe not according to somebody who votes for Booker of the Year, but I would give him Booker of the Year at this point.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. There was the JBL comment that I meant to mention. Mexican fans are just passionate fans. He will definitely know that firsthand. They love their lucha libre.
That's why. That's why I can't believe they're still not mad at him.
Well, he wasn't there live, at least for this commentary. They were all on Zoom talking over each other at one point. They love their stars and they get into things and they enjoy it, and that's what you saw is them at their very best, and you saw wrestling at its very best. Like, I was absolutely blown away with what they did in the match. But when Chad first came back, we're sitting there thinking about how it's easy to be kind of a campy heel like he was in WWE with the videos or the Varsity Club. It was American-made, by the way, or whatever the heck it was. But then all of a sudden, trying to get heat down in Mexico, that's a different level. It's not even the same business. You know, he had a match down there with La Parka that was just phenomenal. I think that was the emaciated La Parka as well. I think Chad Gable is the best wrestler in the world, and I don't think it's close. That was absolutely amazing what he and Kaiser did. Big statement.
It's a big statement. It's absolutely true. It makes me, for some reason, a little bit emotional. Just I love when the boys. And I'm not saying John's guilty of this or anything, but a lot of times there's this little bit of, I'll put this other talent over, whether you're retired or not. A lot of wrestlers do it. I'll put him over, but I'm not going to truly make him the absolute best or better than me, or he'll just be, because I mean, it's an ego-driven business. You want to believe you're the best that can do it. And John, as a heel champion, I believe, was severely underrated in that role of going from Bradshaw and APA to JBL. For him to say Chad Gable is the absolute best wrestler in the world, and it's not even close, such a degree of just objectivity by John. Because Chad Gable is Kurt Angle. How many times have I said that? He's absolutely the best, and there may not be many people that can touch him as far as a heel character that gets real heat, mixed with some comedy that makes you kind of laugh but still hate him at the same time.
He's versatile. Like Kurt Angle, there's no one as versatile as Kurt Angle.
He's the most versatile wrestler I've seen maybe ever, if not, we'll just conservatively say in the past 20, 25 years.
Probably since Kurt.
Yeah, that would be a good way to put it. But he might be more versatile than Kurt because they pushed Kurt. Chad's getting over when they essentially have not pushed Chad. So that's why I think he edges out Kurt in some ways in that regard.
Okay, enough of the love fest, unfortunately, which has been an incredibly positive last couple of hours, I must say. We need to inject some more news here, and this is just an eye roller. Ric Flair threatens to sue his son, David Flair, before following up by saying, "I was never going to sue you." Here's the quote. Unfortunately, quote, there is someone that
you got to say what day it is.
Oh, this is day one. In fact, I think most of this is day one. Anyway, unfortunately, this is someone I'm very familiar with using my own trademark, and then in capital letters, Flair. I would like anyone who is using my trademarks, which are impossible to own, and I own mine, to know that I'm well represented by a reputable $1,000 per hour attorney that makes a living suing people that abuse my trademark. You know who I'm talking about. I hope you can clear this up by Monday, and if we can't resolve this issue, read the penalties. And then he screenshots a Gemini AI answer from Google about trademark penalties and stuff like that. Then it is followed by this. We'll get to the rest of it afterwards. He's talking about David Flair, by the way. The relationship was gone 9 years ago. I'm sorry and sad that it has come to this. I've tried my best to fix things over the years, only to be rejected because your wife runs your life. Let's just go with those first two there. There's a lot to unpack.
Oh, yeah, there sure is. But I mean, right off the bat, when you see that, and you were sharing that, I think, or somebody shared it with me. I think one of my buddies shared it. We were all kind of looking at it. I'm not on social media right now. But once that was said, there's nobody using Flair except for Charlotte, who's not really, she's a Charlotte on TV. And I assumed it was David Flair. So right off the bat, when he said I'm very familiar with using Flair, I was like, is it David? I haven't seen David in like decades, it feels like, as far as anywhere in the media or anything like that. So I don't know, man. It just seems like what's the interval on this? I mean, last time it was the Peanut Shell series of videos and everything. Was that like 2 or 3 weeks ago or less than a month ago? This
Few weeks.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to dial in when is it a 4 week interval, 6 week interval, 8 week? When is the point where Flair just feels like I just need to put this out there?
It's interesting because I feel there's more going on apart from whatever it is we all suspect is going on with him. Because this is weird that he just keeps going on social media. It's like he can't help himself. It's like a chronic something or other I was going to say that I'm not going to say. He's like he's got a chronic illness as far as just embarrassing himself. But it's like in a different way every time. And this way, he's talking about someone I'm very familiar with. It's your son. Why? Oh, also, his other son who died, Reed Flair, used the name Flair as well, I'm quite sure, in
Correct.
saying that.
Yeah, they did some stuff like he took down Bischoff on WCW TV one time, and
Yeah.
he's
No,
involved.
he actually tried to go, like, make a name for himself as a pro wrestler in Japan and stuff as well, did Reed.
No, I remember that part. I'm just saying, famously,
yeah.
people probably remember when he amateur wrestled and he took Bischoff down. He was small, but he was still really good amateur wrestler. Flair used to, I think, go to all his tournaments and stuff. I don't know. We can just speculate, pure speculation, but I have a little bit of personal experience over the past years with certain cognitive, you know, things degrading with age. The word I think of when I think of the person within my family and this with Flair, which is kind of a one-to-one analogy with the tirades and everything, agitation. Flair just seems to get very agitated, either easily or with no provocation. Am I off base with that? Isn't that what we're kind of seeing?
Kind
Only
of.
he is
But
a guy, instead of getting agitated and yelling and wanting to punch the clouds, he picks this up and goes to social media.
there's a few things here that, like, I would like anyone who is using my trademarks, which are impossible to own, and I own mine. That's someone writing who is not well. Because that is... How can you write that in one sentence?
I don't know. I guess he's going to be in the MMA hour after this clip goes up.
I guess so. The damn peanut shell. And
Hey,
then
every
he's talking
time you
about
do a
his...
Flair video, the whole the comments are Peanut Shell is back, baby. They
Oh,
want
dude, I
peanut.
call myself Peanut Shell all the time now.
They want Peanut Shell t-shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees.
I will think about it. I like how he has to say, I've got an $1,000 per hour attorney who makes a living suing people. Isn't that a lot of attorneys? But $1,000 an hour. So immediately I was thinking, there's one waitress out there in a pizza joint who ain't getting their tip. If he's got to hire this lawyer, that's going to make him really annoyed.
Well,
Let's
one
get to-
one pizza place isn't getting put over for a while. That's what I was looking at.
Here's the real issue of it all. At least in the first tweet, he means David Flair. The company that he's got is called Green Flair Energy, and it's a horrible name for a business. But anyway, it's got the word Flair in it. It has nothing to do with wrestling, for starters, as does about 10,000 other businesses with the word Flair in that's currently registered in the US, whatever it is, business, whatever directory. So So there's no kind of crossing of, we may be mixing one business up with it. No, apparently it's like haulage and recycling. That's it. It's got tractors. It's like farm equipment. Secondly, they registered that business in 2015. So why is it chapping Ric Flair's ass all of a sudden now that after 11 years, he just has to impulsively, would impulsive almost be the right word it's coming across, discuss it?
Yeah, it was basically, he started in 2015, then just my speculation and yours, like you said, impulse control is very much lacking when it comes to he picks this up, types it. I think he deleted the tweet you said as well, right? Not in
the
this,
first three. I didn't even get to the third one yet. He's deleted the first three.
We're going to talk about that because that is literally the worst
his
thing.
family's stopping him here. That's the thing. His family are basically, I'm sure, calling him up and saying, what are you doing? You're making a a dick Flair out yourself once again. Delete these all immediately, and then he follows up with 4. Anyway, and then
Do you think
and
he
then
just wakes up and chooses violence in a way? Like he wakes up and he goes, "Oh, by the way, that's right. I gotta," you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know what prompts the, once again, I witness it almost on a daily basis or hear about it. There's no rhyme or reason for the agitation with certain cognitive conditions with that.
the relationship was gone 9 years ago, and then Ric Flair paints himself out as the good guy trying to fix things, only to be rejected because your wife runs your life. It's like, what I'm hearing from that is that David Flair's wife is running interference because David doesn't want to have to deal with him. That's my guess.
Well, you also made a point in your video of, why do things need to get fixed? Who caused the damage that needs to be fixed?
Here is day 2, or it's probably actually later in day 1. So a lot of these things happen at the same in the same day. I'm obviously not suing my son. I'm just mentioning that all these penalties for trademark infringement with this trademark that you can't own, but I own mine. Just reminding him that he can't have the best of both worlds. Use your God-given name, Flair, which isn't worth a cup of coffee, or your wife's name, who has had 3 generations of success. Also, please don't sell my robes that I let you use during your career, as you have already sold one. You're 47 years old. Now stand upon your own 2 feet, please. Okay, these are things I didn't mention, but I want to bring them up. Firstly, Ric Flair isn't his real name. It's Richard Flair. Richard Morgan Flair. David Flair is as much of a Flair as Ric Flair is. And they both used the Flair name during their careers. One career was a failure, one career was a huge success. That's not the point. The other thing is that Ric Flair, standing on his own 2 feet, his first name was Rambling Ricky Rhodes, that he stole from Dusty, and then he called himself the Nature Boy, which, in the words of Scott Steiner, he used his little brain and stole Buddy Rogers' name, Buddy Rogers' name, Buddy Roberts and the Freebirds. But you couldn't steal his
stole
class.
Buddy Roberts' name, even Buddy Rogers. He's in trouble.
Yeah, sorry, I screwed that up. But it's like, I don't understand this whole, you can't have the best of both worlds. What? So either you have to talk to me. I guess this is what he's getting at. It's like, well, you've cut me out of your life, so therefore you can't use the word Flair or the surname Flair. But if you talk to me, you can. I'm kind of getting that. I mean, am I reading that?
I would assume he still couldn't use it. The thing that stuck out to me, obviously, when he's talking about all this stuff, he's not suing him. It's just Gemini. Gemini must have said you should sue him, and doesn't make much sense. The thing that really kind of half broke my heart reading this for Ric Flair, when he said, "Use your God-given name, Flair," which isn't worth a cup of coffee. Let's look deeper at this. That's why Ric Flair always wants to be Ric Flair. Ric Flair cannot be Richard Flair, because it may be because your wife runs your life. Maybe David's wife is protecting him from the toxic relationship that he could possibly have with his dad. He's making it seem like, and maybe David Flair actually, and I said Flair, not Flair. David Flair actually honors his wife. David Flair actually, they're a partnership. They take, and she supports him and he supports her. And when it looks like somebody is bringing anything toxic or negative, much like our wives do, when what we would do it for our wives, we protect them from that and have the most stable environment that we can have. We don't know what happened between David and Rick. So I don't know who is more in the wrong, more in the right, who initiated it, who wants nothing to do with who. It kind of seems like David wants nothing to do with Rick. And Rick not wanting to try to, this doesn't help anything, by the way. Don't you agree, James? You don't get on social media and shame the guy who, by the way, probably just wants to live a very private life outside of wrestling. It seems that way for the past 11 years with that business. And you're saying that because he wants to have a very healthy marriage and he takes his wife's opinions, feedback, and input to heart, that he's an idiot. Am I reading that wrong?
I think you can read it I'm not sure you can read it that many other ways. I don't know. Here is the follow
But
up
he
to all that after
truly
he
wants
deletes.
to, he truly is ashamed of being Richard Flair. He does not want, he will avoid that until the day he's gone. That's the biggest heartbreak for me right there.
He deletes those 3 tweets and then he writes this: Day 3, if you understood the health issues that I deal with and am currently dealing with, you would understand why I get frustrated in life with a lot of people. I'm sorry for the frustration. I am taking time to focus on my health.
Which is worse than Dutch's.
Oh,
Never
yeah.
forget that.
No, we can never forget that. He was more sick.
What does that third one have to do with anything? Is this mental health? Is it, I mean, he does this all the time. He did it to Dutch where him and Dutch were going at it online and Dutch was talking about it on story time and Flair would tweet and then Flair way back then said, "Oh, life's too short to do this for two old wrestling legends or whatever, and let's
He
just."
tries to make himself the bigger man out of it all. And like
Well, he
Dutch
started it,
eventually.
and he
Yeah,
starts
exactly.
it.
He starts it and then he tries to make himself to be the bigger man every time. And what really annoyed Dutch about that we've talked about subsequently, we didn't talk about it at the time, but we did afterwards, is that that Dutch said after he posted that, he got wind through like mutual friends that Ric Flair was still trashing him, like I guess like privately. And then that's why when Dutch like accepted the apology and then kind of just went back on it 2 days later, was because he supposedly heard that Ric Flair, oh yeah, no, he still hates you and he's still saying all these things. He's just not posting it on social media anymore. But it's the weird thing of like he starts it and then he tries to babyface himself at the end. So therefore he gets the last word. Or somebody has told him to do that. But then he still gets the last word and he still seems like the babyface. And it's this constant pattern. It's been going for years.
Yeah, Flair has a definite pattern with I'm gonna get a shot in on this person. And he finds out, and he found out with us too, that we're not just gonna sit there like I explained last week in the Kevin Nash response, not just gonna stand there or sit there and take it because I'm afraid for my job or the office or all this other political stuff that you worry about in wrestling. He's learning lessons all the time that people are gonna clap back on him, whether there are people with skinny necks, peanut shells, fans, pizza places, whatever it might be, or his own son is just basically like, just my guess and speculation, not trying to vilify him, go out there and make Flair look like whatever, but just say, I have a wife. I don't know if he has kids. Maybe he does. I have a family. That's the people I need to focus and protect from the toxicity of all this. And then Flair, in the end, in each every one, tries to either play the good guy, the peacemaker, the victim, or in this case, now all of a sudden you have health issues. What did that have to do with suing your son for the Flair trademark? Am I
Did you see
missing
the
anything?
tweet? His photos outside the emergency room. He with that last tweet that's still up there, the photo is him outside the emergency room
Are you
as he
serious?
wrote the. Oh no, it says emergency behind him. Whether it's emergency drying out facility, I don't know. It looked like a hospital.
Okay, so let me read day three then. If you understood, and right away, it's our fault, right? We didn't get it from the other two tweets. We don't understand. Like, we did say there's something wrong with them. Are we right then? But he's saying if you understood the health issues that I deal with and am currently dealing with, well, guess what, Rick? Everybody has somebody in a family or somebody they love and care about that's having some kind of health issue. So our heart goes out to you, but your heart never really goes out to anybody else, does it? It goes back to you. So you would understand. See, we don't understand, once again, why I get frustrated in life with a lot of people. James, based on Ric Flair's health issues, do you understand why he gets frustrated with people like us or his family or Dutch or anybody?
I'd have to know the health issues first, but I'd still probably want to understand.
There's only one health issue, in all honesty, and once again, family experience with this. There's only one health condition that you have to understand why you get so agitated and frustrated and mad and lash out. And everybody out there knows what that is.
Shall we move on? I want to talk about LA Knight, and this is actually what went wrong to start it off because I'd completely forgotten about it until I was looking up news today to talk about. And it was from the European tour. LA Knight is facing Dominic Mysterio, and he does, well, I don't know what he does. He attempts a 619, and it's probably, and LA Knight, he does botch a lot. He just ends up slipping around quite a lot. And I think there was a suplex with Jey Uso and something else, maybe Elimination Chamber, a misstep or a foot in the wrong place. But I always find it charming with LA Knight. But this has got to be the epitome of the funniest botch I think he's ever done. Stevie, how difficult is a 619 to perform? Have you ever even attempted it?
Oh no, no, no. I'm way too smart for that. I might not be smart about a lot of things, but I'm not trying that move. LA Knight, we watched the Rob Conway match on Patreon for the watch along this coming Monday. And their body styles are kind of the same. And I had talked about sometimes with Rob kind of selling or bumping, it was kind of awkward sometimes because he's a bodybuilder. He's incredibly thick and muscular. I don't know. And he's still athletic. He can go from the second jump up, hit the elbow. It's very, very impressive. But I haven't watched this, by the way. This is a reaction video as well.
Oh, have you not?
I have not watched it.
It's brilliant.
All right, let's see. Yeah, that's about what I would do. What do you want me to break down on this? That LA Knight has the hip flexibility and mobility, and plus combined with real WWE ropes, they're not holding you up. At least
That's a
Dominic
good question.
ducked.
Do you think he's just too heavy?
He's too thick. To me, take it from somebody that has super tight hips. Watch his left hip. He's like butt heavy like I am. You know what I mean? Imagine if Dominic didn't duck and sold this monstrosity of a 619. Oh, and then he kicks him.
Do you know, it's almost like he's almost like trying to go for the Tajiri's tarantula. He's like that tied up in the ropes.
You know what really would have stunk? Look at him right there. If he didn't hold on the ropes, he would have dropped himself head first on the ring. He's literally almost upside down. Then he catches himself and drops. But what if he went in that direction? My goodness. Should we talk about, I mean, I don't know how much more we can watch this, but I guess what we're going to talk about is where LA Knight stands with the WWE right now. And it is absolutely the intent. It's what I fear for Chad Gable and Ludwig Kaiser after the AAA stuff.
On Raw yesterday, as we record this, LA Knight confronted Adam Pearce. And it was kind of weird. He was complaining that Pearce had like an obsession of the bloodline and that showing favoritism toward him. And he always came across as a bit whiny or even like conspiratorial in that sense as a character. Anyway, the week before, LA Knight got his first in-ring promo in like, I think 7 weeks. In-ring anything in 7 weeks. I don't think he's had a match on Raw since before WrestleMania.
I'm just going to make a point about that thing with him whining backstage. That's him telling that they know what they're doing with that. Because remember, LA Knight was like, you could do this, that, whatever. I'll do is the half imitation. You can do whatever you want, this, that, and the other thing. And it doesn't matter because he's been in those spots, remember? And he's literally cut a promo about, you can do whatever you want. You can throw me here, do this, splash me through the car or whatever. I'm going to come back and he'll say something clever. They're making him whiny and they're taking away some of the coolness and the edge from him. Have you noticed that?
They're taking time away from him, and they've done it twice this year. Major time away for no good reason. So he appeared on the occasional backstage segment after WrestleMania, but I think I might be right in saying he's not wrestled on Raw since before WrestleMania. I will double check that, but he's done nothing of note for 8 weeks now. I think it's 8 weeks. That interview, that in-ring promotional interview he did where Jimmy Uso interrupted and then My God, that was pulling teeth. That was awful. And the first thing that LA Knight said was, I haven't been out here in a minute. I was like, yeah. And I'll tell you what, those fans did not react to him. Nowhere near as much as they were doing even a couple of months before. And at some point, you've got to think, man, they know what they're doing here. Like,
Yeah,
as far as like, yeah.
I'm always going to lean that they know exactly what they're doing, because as much care as they put in the Roman Reigns, even Punk, other people, the bloodline, there's a little bit of truth in that, because a few of your videos, what's the comment? LA Knight needs to learn how to become a Samoan or whatever. You know, there's this big joke about you come back and call yourself El Samoano or something, you know, in AAA. But yeah, this is not an accident, not at this point. You have to admit that. Even the most staunch WWE Triple H supporters, or think the creative is really trying their best, have to think at this point, they have not done they haven't handled his character with care, his matches. Like, he was red hot, white hot with Roman Reigns, to the point where I was saying he should win the title. Nothing. U.S. title against Logan Paul, just kind of, it's like a consolation prize before the second world title is, or whatever that is. Yeah, I just look at this. There's nothing they do by accident. Now, I'll tell you what, people get over by accident. And guess who got over by accident? LA Knight. Because guess what they wanted them to be in the beginning? The MC for models. And I felt that was entertaining or whatever it was, but when he became LA Knight and he did that dark segment with Hit Row and those kinds of reactions, or when he came out for the SmackDown before Money in the Bank and Logan Paul was in the ring, that was over in, what country was that in? Was that in Scotland, or I'm not sure. It was one of the European pay-per-views when he came out on that SmackDown and people went crazy. They went banana, as Pat Patterson would say. But you're right. When he said, I haven't been here in a minute, it's like, okay, well, when you leaving? It was dead. I'd rather them boo him than do nothing. And they've absolutely done nothing.
Did you see that Jimmy Uso thing with LA Knight? Oh,
part of it. I couldn't. I was just like, this is terrible.
It was 10 minutes of silence. It was terrible. And like, everybody can sit there and think, who could possibly be interested in an LA Knight Jimmy Uso feud? It's a huge step down. And it's nothing against Jimmy Uso, but it's a huge step down for where LA Knight was. I said on my video in February, he came out, and it wasn't anything special. He just came out to confront Logan Paul. He had to stop because people were cheering so hard for him. 2 months later, guess what? He's backstage only every single week, if he's on the show. The Vision injury, fake
guess
injury.
What they can do? Guess what they can do when you're backstage? One of two things.
Mute the audio.
Mute the audio, or it's a pre-tape, and they still mute the audio when you come up on screen. Not by accident. This is the thing, too. And it's just to get this started, because we can go on forever. When he cuts a promo and gets Logan Paul with that zinger, people are cheering. When he's doing this, talks to Roman Reigns. Remember Roman Reigns comes out? Nobody had interrupted his entrance ever. He comes out before he puts the belt up. The LA Knight music hits. People go crazy. He sells like he's like the counterculture type babyface. Now when he says it, guess what? Well, you haven't won a match in months. That's what happens. There's no bite behind the words anymore. No teeth in it.
I said beforehand, this is the second extended absence from at least in-ring WWE TV, because he was kept off TV for like 7 weeks again. They seem to love that 7 weeks from in-ring stuff when he was quote-unquote injured by Bronson Reed. Now, obviously, he was going to come back and go against the Vision, but the Vision, look, they keep injuring themselves. They don't need anyone to attack the Vision. They'll just kill themselves or whatever serious injuries.
Just like them doing their promos out there, and somebody's going to slip or roll their ankle.
So that's kind of where we're at. So yeah, I understand that, the rug was pulled out from under him a bit, but then he was just there. He was just like the sixth guy in that 6-man at WrestleMania 42, and it was all about I show speed. He was in the throwawayest of throwaway matches at WrestleMania, and then they just kept him in backstage segments or not at all from that, apart from last week, and it was a disaster. So now, well done. You've got yourself just another aimless mid-carder.
This can't be by accident. I know I've repeated that a few times. You don't do this kind of stuff with this guy that was over the way he was. Also, you put it in the show notes. I believe maybe the beginning of the end or the beginning of where we're at now at the end of whatever series of events is unreal. And that whole thing backstage, there's a thing you said in your video, I think, where it was like, he will not even hang out in Gorilla after his match. He'll go right by and go down because of the cameras or whatever they might have there.
He gave an interview saying that that's the one major change he's done. So I won't hang around in Gorilla anymore.
I wouldn't either.
To me, come and speak in the locker room. Because I'm sure he just feels like he's not there to be berated for other people's entertainment or drama manufactured or otherwise. So I'm sure he's feeling more self-conscious.
Plus the fact it's so stupid that you have heat for selling someone's finish. And you sold it. You got to get right back up and do the ladder spot. He just curb stomped me.
Can't win sometimes, can you?
No, I feel for the dude because he, you're only going to be a fan for so long. I want to pull for the guy, but if he's not doing interesting stuff, guess what? We're not going to, whatever, it sucks. It's a fake subjective business run on somebody's opinion. And there it is. You can't tell me that they're like, well, he doesn't have it. Well, and that's the thing. Someone's probably like in someone's ear going, hey, told you, look at this. Hey, told you, it's got to be somebody twisted up creative to really make this happen.
We shall move on. We've got a couple of what went wrongs to end this show on. And the first one is Becky Lynch, Sol Ruca. Sol Ruca, we talked about her last week, actually. She's, I think in all fairness, she's having a bit of a howler. Something's always going wrong, whether it's her fault or it's not her fault in her matches since she joined the main roster. And the Clash in Italy match, there were a couple of, one nearly went terribly wrong, but the other one is more of an interesting kind of thing, and it is a positioning situation with Sol Ruca that I want to pick your brain on. But first off, we're going to go to the space flying tiger drop that Sol Ruca attempted onto Becky Lynch, and boy, this one she got away with. Stevie, what went wrong?
Thank you very much, James. By the way, on a side note, speaking of what's the move, the space tiger, what do they call it?
Yes, the handspring backflip over the rope kind of thing.
You know who did the best one of all? The absolute best one I've ever seen?
Jushin Thunder Liger.
Nope. John Cronus from the Eliminators.
Yes.
Ooh. Because he's 300 pounds. I'm sure Perry would disagree with that, but I think John did it amazing.
You always said, oh, I'm ass heavy or whatever. He was 100 pounds heavier, and he was ass heavy. But
he wasn't. Not Stevie Richards, what's the gravity of Jupiter or whatever it might be. the chair actually is levitating right now because I have so much gravitational pull in my big butt. But it's all the 185 pounds that I weigh, like 120 is my butt. So there's enough right there. She doesn't have, Sol Ruca doesn't have that excuse. No, she's the leanest, one of the leanest people I've seen on the roster. So let's take a look. She just lands on her feet. Actually, when I look at this, up until this point, it's perfect. Handspring, feet there. Oh, there it is. You see it? She's had such a time with the Soul Crusher. Is that what it's called?
Snatcher.
Soul. It's crushing my soul to watch her. I want her to do so well, the Soul Snatcher. But remember that on the rope right here, she ended up slipping with her toe. But watch her heel. Do you see it? It's almost like when you do it, you got to land flat here and then do the moonsault or the backflip. But she catches her foot. Therefore, she clears kind of the rope, but it kind of catches her here. But she has enough athleticism. By the way, it's smart move here. In case she's going to hit the apron, her hands are there. But that's a scary position. Now, here's the other thing. And I don't blame Becky for this because how much you have no space here. Becky should stand to be underneath her body right here, but there's no room. It's not on Becky, but I'll tell you this. Remember I mentioned before with the Young Bucks and Cody Hall breaking his neck? She could have came right down on her head with her feet or with her knees or her shin. Oh, Becky shouldn't even sell that. Do you agree?
Yeah, the commentary was some variation of a glancing blow. But ultimately, I mean, it was a success in the sense that Sol Ruca didn't land on her head because,
Her
I don't
athleticism
know.
saved her life.
Yeah, I think she's definitely in her own head. She must be now because I bet she never messed that up in NXT.
Did she do this in NXT?
Yeah, I mean, she never messed up the Soul Snatcher in NXT either. Best I know.
Here's the thing that I mentioned last week about this. I'm going to leave it right here because this is a scary spot for anybody to be in. I mentioned before, and this is an international pay-per-view or PLE. The travel, when you have to adjust from NXT where it's very structured, you sleep in your own bed basically every night if you're not going to Raw or SmackDown or PLE. But her being technically full-time now, the travel, the appearance, she went to have media appearances all day, which limited the amount of time you can call the match, rehearse the spots. Do you see where I'm getting with this? Her responsibilities now are not just show up and wrestle, make a wish, autograph session, radio appearances, an entire media day. Her day could have started at like 5 a.m. on radio, morning shows, stuff like that. And she could be exhausted by the time that this happens. Plus, she doesn't have multiple reps to practice and get the footing down, get the distance. It's kind of like you got to just learn it on the fly. We're very much witnessing an adjustment period from NXT to the main roster schedule. That's just my guess.
She's also said, with the extra scrutiny of being on the main roster, it can also be overwhelming, of course. So, and then I guess if something goes wrong once, and then you have that talk with Triple H backstage for unreal future episodes, this will be a future episode, I'm sure. I think it'd be very easy to get in your own head with this.
I'll take it from somebody who's gotten in their own head a little too much, overthinks, like you talked about with the interview show notes. I'm the overthinking poster child when it comes to that. But there's a point too where you're like, I don't know if she has any kind of self-doubt like I would have at certain points in my life, but you have to turn around or Hunter has to grab her and say, you worked hard, you deserve to be here, you deserve your spot. Now go out there and perform like you deserve the spot and like you belong here, because you do. So you're kind of telling her like you're better than this, don't make that mistake again, but you also belong here. So make the most out of it. Hunter seems like he would talk to her like that, but it's going to get to a point where the knives are going to start coming out, the politics, she's not ready. Somebody's going to be like, I can do that. I can take her spot. It's just a natural cutthroat business.
Let's move on to the other Sol Ruca issue. And this is, we've got the official footage, but it doesn't actually show anything. So if you just scrub through, you'll pretty much find out that Becky Lynch seems to do this really odd leg drop. So if you go to like 12 seconds in, let's say. There we go.
Right,
And she does this kind of like stuttering leg drop here. And I made mention of it when I did my review. And I was like, that wasn't a very good leg drop. There's a reason that we'll see when you get to the fan cam footage. But if you just play this bit.
Okay. All I can think of just watching this off the top of my head to react, she's not in position. She should be over there. And Becky might
go on the fan cam footage then, and that will reveal all.
Okay, let's take a look with the fan cam footage. Let's go
this
to
is yours. Was he called Matt Kempf or something?
Matt Kempf, still going strong, not shut down yet.
Yeah. So if you play all the way from the beginning.
She's out of position. She's really out of position. She's getting into position. She's still not in position. and Becky's trying to protect her because she's turned in a way on the other camera angle. She's turned in a way where you got to be perpendicular this way with your head that way. Her head was this way. That was literally like, what are you doing? And he made Becky look stupid. That was not Becky's fault. And the leg drop here is only, look at, you can even see it here. She's that way instead of that way. And I don't think the distance is the problem, but Becky dropped it right across like her sternum or around that area of her chest because Becky can't do the Rob Van Dam turn your body in midair and drop a leg, like he did with the frog splash. Did you kind of guess that too?
I didn't. Well, all I saw on the live feed was that it was zooming in on Becky for ages, and I hadn't really considered why. And then seeing this, I mean, this is kind of I'm sure you'll agree, a really rookie thing to do is not be in position. Did you ever remember getting confused as to where you needed to be in this kind of situation? Or is this just something that should be ingrained in day one?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the audible you would call. Okay. Say she's like right here in the opposite end. And he's like, you landed wrong, or she's this way instead of that way. What I would do is fight my way up and try to do like the Flair slam or whatever and say, cut me off or hit me, or I would try to knock her off. And then she punches her and she bumps with her head there. So it looks more like a struggle. She hit her, head butted her, did whatever, kicked her down. Now I'm in position with my head that way. It takes experience to know that. I'm not in position. Therefore, I need to get up and just be like, just hit me. Boom. And anybody with experience like Becky should know, oh, she was just trying to fill in dead time. Where if you don't do that, guess what you create, right? A lot of dead time. She should have really got up right here, or Becky should have said, fight me or whatever. Okay, come here. And then grab her and hit me, and then she take a bump. Now, if she bumped and she was still in that direction, oh, we got some issues. But yeah, this is all in Sol Ruca. And Becky was trying to protect her because her head, as you can see right here, was still in this direction instead of that direction. What say you?
I've got a question. So obviously, depending on what country you're in when you're wrestling, you either work the left side or the right side, right?
You don't work the left leg drop off the top, though. Everybody
Well, that's
drops,
what I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Do you always position yourself so you always end up with the right elbow down or the right leg down?
The only person I ever saw that could drop ambidextrous elbow is Shawn Michaels. Remember he did it, I think he did it to Vader, a couple other people where he did it to Owen, maybe dropped the left. That's the only time. But yeah, even though you work the left, except in Mexico, you work the left on the arm, or when you got a headlock, you only drop with the right. I've never seen anybody drop a leg. And I'm talking about even Arn Anderson. The only thing he ever did left-handed was the punch and the spine buster, but everything else had to do with working the left arm and the right stuff, feeding and bumping and all that stuff. This is 100% on Sol Ruca. She was out of position. Becky had to wait to drop the right leg on her and also to protect her. I give all the credit in the world. This is what went wrong with Sol Ruca. Both spots are solely on Sol Ruca, but it's a what went right in this case on Becky Lynch. And in the first spot, Becky just did whatever she could. She couldn't stand any closer to the ring apron, so it's not her fault.
Let's move on then, and this will be the final segment. There has been a bit of a bad injury. Don't know exactly what it is. He's expected to be out for quite a few months. Back to AAA now, Octagon Jr. This was a match filmed, a five-way match, in fact, filmed at Noches de la Grandes as a dark match, basically, for the following week's TV taping. It was a five-way between Joaquin Wilde, Mini Vikingo, Lince Dorado, Octagon Jr., and Cruz del Toro. And Octagon Jr. takes a DDT off the top rope, and the match has to be stopped. So over to you, Steve. Have you seen this yet? Or is this
I have not seen this. This is another reaction video here.
Okay,
so
we've got two fan videos of this as well.
Okay. He's okay, though. Number one, most important thing, he's going to be okay. I saw his show notes.
We ain't dead, but he's going to be out for a while.
Oh, oh my goodness. Yeah, he just got planted. You could see the mask is still underneath right there. Do you see that? He's hitting. Like the mask is literally right here, not just the whatever tassel or whatever he has there, but yeah, man, that's rough to watch. So this is the beginning of it right here.
Mhm.
So it's a tornado DDT off the top rope with the guy's reverse, because usually tornado DDT is this guy standing on the outside. This guy here is facing Octagon Jr. is facing, and then he tornado DDTs. You know, he runs up the ropes, whatever. More specifically, usually the guy will run, this guy's facing him. He walks up the ropes and then they spin around, and usually he lands, he rolls over and lands on his back. But yeah, this is tough to watch. Oh,
It's
that's scary right there. He almost landed on top of his head. What were you going to say?
is there any way that tornado DDT attempt could have possibly worked in the positions they were in? Because, as you say, they're normally on the floor, the person taking it. So you can pivot round and then roll through. Whereas you can't really do that if you're on the second rope.
There's one way a DDT like that would work, not even a tornado, but a version of it. Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka from that one night stand that we talked about at Hammerstein. He did the DDT off the top rope through a table, gave him enough to flip over. Like, what was it Awesome that did it? Whoever did it to who? The guy giving the DDT was the one taking the back bump, like a power bomb through the table. The other guy just rolled over and landed on his feet. So he tucked him. That's the only way, because to land like this, there's no space for the body to flip over. You're just jammed. That's it. You know, it's not a good, there's no way you could have avoided this. Here's the end of it. There he's getting stretchered out. So the referee, the one right here is the referee kind of blocked off the other guys from doing anything else, even though the guy dove on both of them and he protected the wrestler. See, I would still say stop doing these spots, because what's going on with the ring as he's laying here and these guys are kind of half bumping it.
Yeah, it's rattling the ring up and
Yeah,
down.
and all you got to do, the neck, the vertebrae can shift and become even worse just with a little bit there. But I'm going to go to the other one real quick here. This is the other one.
Hmm?
Oh, let's zoom in on that. And he was essentially got DDT for real. Thank God his body wasn't all the way over him like that. You know, and all his body weight was coming down. Yeah, that's tough. Now, what this guy was trying to do is land on his feet to break the fall. Do you notice that? But it doesn't matter, because his body, Octagon Jr.'s body's all the way up in the air. I mean, you come down here on slow motion. I mean, it's just, there's absolutely no way to avoid this. Nothing. Just don't do it.
So in the notes, it says, Brian Alvarez reported that Octagon Jr.'s MRI came back good. He will likely be out several months, but could have been much worse, which is about right. I think it could have been much worse.
It's about the best we could hope for, I guess, just being out a few months. Hopefully the guy, number one, can have a healthy, happy life, that he can walk. There's no long-term damage. If he is getting a fusion, hopefully it's very minimally invasive, or medical technology has really come a long way since I had mine in December 22nd, 1997. But at the same time, neck, vertebrae, nerves, all that stuff, it's unpredictable. And then you're going back into a business where, guess what? where the majority of the impact is, all in the spine. If you want, especially Lucha Libre, lots of high flying stuff, lots of impact. Even if you just land on your feet, James, what's happened to your vertebrae? At least mine. If anybody else, but get well soon. Octagon Jr., hopefully there'll be character work, promos, road to recovery, and he can come back and be an even more impactful character on the show. But most importantly, happy, healthy, many, many chapters of your life to enjoy after wrestling.
Do you know of anybody who ended up getting a severe neck injury from a DDT? Because I was trying to think, like, I know that you've taken more than your fair share over the years and got a few bumps from them. Ricky Steamboat got DDT'd on the floor. Was it that? I don't know if it's Saturday night's main event or that Toronto show, the big event, where he was DDT'd on the floor and like knocked out legitimately. So there have been injuries from them. But has anyone ended up getting like a broken neck or something similar?
Yeah, Gary Wolf from Shane.
Of course.
He didn't know. He went to the chiropractor and the guy was like, let me take an x-ray before adjusting your neck. That was the difference between, at the best, a wheelchair, or at the worst, killing the guy by breaking his neck. No, when he had that and he DDT'd him on the belt, or no, he did a divorce court on the belt, but Gary's head hit the belt.
Yeah, it was it was like an armbar DDT, was it? Or something?
That's called a divorce court. Like Midnight Express used to do that. Bobby Eaton would always do that.
How do people not get more injured from DDTs? Because I am sure there are some people out there who will try and throw everything they've got into them and then just spike themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there have been. They just, we don't know yet what the full effects of it is.
Well, what are the full effects with you then? I mean, you never got fully injured from a DDT, did you?
I got stingers here and there when I was too close to the rope or whatever. It was a harder part of the ring. When the DDT that really knocked me for a loop was the Raven one from Clash of the Champions, where I didn't even put my hands in front of me. It was, I put my knee in front of me, and guess what? Didn't help.
There you go. Don't be too aggressive by taking the DDTs. Like Val Venus might be.
DDTs are voluntary. What about Rob on the pile drivers?
Yeah, but I was thinking
No, I'm
Val
not saying
Venus with
spiking
a DDT.
himself. I'm talking about how high he got off the. That's the human pogo. Oh yeah, Val would put the top of his head in the mat. He would do that.
We're going to shut down the show now for the week, and this was episode 100. Instead of me doing an out, well, I'll do the quick one. It's like new clips out every day with YouTube, and a podcast accompaniment every single Thursday, along with the full episodes on YouTube every single Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK time. And I'm going to leave it all to Stevie to take us out now, because more than ever, as much as he thanks everybody, including the Patreon supporters, I think this episode means more than most for the people who've stuck with us and helped this channel and this show grow.
Yeah, help is, I mean, it's beyond help, actually. People say we're beyond help, but it's beyond helping us. The fans, the interaction, the audience, people view, listen, support either through subscribing, clicking the notification bell, commenting, Patreon, whatever it might be, however you support us. You're the reason we got to episode 100. You're the reason why the 2-year anniversary is coming up in a few weeks. And whatever we do after this, just my promise to you, James's promise, Chris and Chris, however big the Stevie Richards show team is, and it is a team effort. And I want to thank you, James, and everybody part of the team. But you're the reason why we, every single week, every single day, we strive to be better. We want a better production, better content. We want to just be the best versions of ourselves and have the best version of the show. And you are the reason why. So we want to thank each and every one of you here on YouTube, listening on podcast, and especially on Patreon for the extra support. Patreon.com/Stevie Richards. And what we strive to do also, this is the word, value. I'm going to give you the most amount of value for the most amount of quality that we can provide here, where people complain that, hey guys, you did under 3 hours this week. I'm bad. There's no better compliment than that. Thank you so much. And once again, back to you, James. I thank you for taking the chance almost 2 years ago to want to do this show 100 episodes ago. and hopefully you don't regret it. I don't know. I've never asked you that.
Yeah, we did 3 months. We said we'll do it for 3 months and see how it goes. And then afterwards, like, well, might as well
No,
continue.
you
Doing
said
well
you
enough.
do it for 3 months and give this rookie, this young lion, this upstart, a chance here with the Stevie Richards show. You know, we put so much thought into the name of the show too that we came way back around and said, let's just call it the Stevie Richards show. We were trying all these different creative things, didn't work. But back to everybody out there, thank you once again for watching episode 100 of the Stevie Richards show. Hopefully it'll be extremely humbling, and I'll be so grateful if we make it to 200. And if you guys are still interested, another 100 episodes from now, God knows we're going to work as hard as we can to make the show even better and provide even more. Here's that word again, value. Thank you once again for watching episode 100. See you next week for episode 101 of the Stevie Richards show. Ha ha.